Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto has Tobirama attitude part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Uzumaki Naruto is a smart boy. It is a fact that he acknowledges and understands, because that's what everyone tells him, so it must be true. Tsukimi, the orphanage matron, is the one who tells him this the most. She is different from other people because she has deep lines on her face and her hair is gray. When he asks her why that is, she tells him that it's because when people get very old, they start showing signs of aging. The old woman is nice. She gives him and the other kids sweets sometimes when they're good, but sometimes has difficulty getting all of them to bed. But not all adults are like she is, Naruto notices. Sometimes there is an old man that people call Hokage-sama even though he isn't Hokage anymore, and he stops by to see how the older kids who became genin are doing. He seems nice, but he looks at Naruto strangely, tells him that he was a friend of Naruto's parents, but won't actually say their names when Naruto asks. Politely even. Sometimes, Naruto ignores this however. If the old fart doesn't have anything good to tell him, then Naruto isn't going to listen. So because the retired, a word he learned from Tsukimi-bachan, Hokage wouldn't teach him anything, and the genin kids always ignore him, he tried rummaging through the old books that the orphanage had to find anything that could help. He eventually finds a discarded and wrecked book that one of the academy students threw away, and after skimming through the pages that weren't destroyed, he finds something called the leaf-sticking exercise. He wants to learn it. Apparently, chakra control is something that people need to learn in order to be a shinobi, and Naruto desperately wants to be one. His drive for it was quite simple. One day, when Tsukimi-bachan's back was turned, an older boy snatched a locket from a girl that was Naruto's age. The girl cried and begged him to give it back, saying that it was the only thing that she owned that had her parents' faces in it. Naruto didn't know he could get so angry, but he did and punched the older boy in the face, just like the genin kids punched the dummies outside. The boy dropped the locket and started crying louder than the girl, whining for Tsukimi-bachan at the top of his lungs, and Naruto is so completely satisfied with the hug he gets for returning the girl's locket that it makes the scolding he gets utterly worth it. It had been so thrilling, and it was then that Naruto decided he was going to be a shinobi. Even if he didn't understand which he liked more between fighting and the girl's hug. The older boy hasn't tried picking on anyone since. Disregarding his motive for a moment, he still needs permission to go out. Tsukimi-bachan? Naruto looks up at the matron. She seems to be in a good mood today. Yes, Naruto-kun? She gives her usual smile. Can I go outside to the trees? Naruto pleads. It is one of his favorite things to do because he always gets to see the shinobi kids training and jumping from tree to tree. Even though that isn't what he's going outside for this time. Tsukimi sighs, but her smile doesn't go away. Another thing that confuses him. You can, Naruto-kun, but you have to promise me something. Promise what? Naruto's brow furrows. Be back before the sun is down, or I'll have to call the shinobi to come get you. Tsukimi looks down at him in a way that said that he probably shouldn't disobey. I promise. Naruto nods resolutely. Tsukimi just manages to ruffle his hair before running off. Naruto doesn't bother to hide his grin. He finally gets to train. Hatake Kakashi is a weary shinobi. Young but weary. It is a fact that he acknowledges and understands, because it means that the people around him won't shut up about him needing some time off. During and after the Third Shinobi World War, Kakashi had what was either a slew of bad luck, or the gods had decided fuck this person in particular. His first friend had died saving their teammate, giving him a gift that no amount of money or gold could equate to, and then he was forced to kill said teammate for the sake of keeping Konoha safe. The death of his much-loved sensei followed, taking with him the woman that he considered an older sister. Things had not been looking up for him at that point, but he endured. After the Kyuubi attack, Sandaime-sama delegated the next Hokage to be Tsunade. Kakashi distinctly remembers the shouting match that followed this decision, but Tsunade-sama eventually capitulated and became the Godame Hokage. She is a good Hokage, Kakashi knows, if a little bit temperamental. Her actions regarding Kumo's attempt to kidnap the Hyuga heiress was something that cemented his faith in her as a leader. She had been utterly ruthless with them. They had knowingly used Konoha's goodwill against them and tested the waters too deep. They threatened war against Konoha for killing their ambassador/kidnapper, to which Tsunade retorted that they had already taken on the world 3 times now, and if Kumo wanted to fight, they wouldn't have a village to fight for afterwards. She could not be cowed with threats, and she knew they could not be defeated right now. Kumo-bikyu was sent home with their tails between their legs, and their reputation in tatters. Kakashi is vindicatively pleased by this. Not only does it improve Konoha's standing in the eyes of non-shinobi in terms of strength and sense of justice, but a guiltless little girl gets to keep her livelihood and her family remains unbroken. Family is something that he appreciates greatly. Kakashi thinks privately that recent ally Sunagakure is impressed with Tsunade's attitude as well, made evident by the large jug of very expensive sake sent to her by the Kazekage as a token of goodwill. It's been 5 long years since that night the Kyuubi appeared. Things aren't getting worse for him, but despite some notable moments, they aren't really getting much better either. He is an ANBU still, rising to captaincy since being placed here by his sensei before his passing. And everything is a blur these days. Wake up, eat, mission, come home, eat, shower, sleep. It is routine and boring, but he doesn't know what else to do. He doesn't have experience with other matters like friendship and love. He takes notice of women, and wonders what it would be like to have a wife, but he isn't bold enough with them to make an advance. He tries to ignore his regular woes, however, and focuses on his duty. He is still on patrol after all. It wouldn't do well to have something bad happen under his watch. He has some attachment to his own credibility after all. Lost in his own thoughts, he unintentionally meanders into Riverside Park. Kakashi sees a boy with eyes and hair like Obito's. The spiky locks are a bit longer though, looking more like sensei. His face looks a bit more focused than Obito's ever did around that age. The boy is carrying a tattered book under one arm and a water bottle in the other. He is whimsically intrigued, and tries to catch his scent on the wind to see if the boy was related to anyone he knew, and he pauses. The boy's looks are familiar, but the scent is more so. He knows this scent like the back of his hand, and his mind blanks in conflict with joy and shame. This boy looks nothing like the two who sired him, but there is no question that he is theirs. Genes were funny sometimes. But this boy was meant to be his family. Kakashi often wonders what it might have been like. Him being the older brother, Sensei being the long-suffering but stern father, and Kushina, the fiery and embarrassing but loving and effective mother. Sarutobi told him that Naruto was dead. Sarutobi was about to be dead. Uchiha Madara is older than dirt. It is a fact that he acknowledges and understands, because it means that his time is running out. He had lived far longer than any normal human being should be conceivably possible to do, even the Uzumaki. After the battle with Hashirama in the valley and the subsequent faking of his death, he'd spent decades cultivating the DNA that he'd taken in an attempt to prolong his life and achieve the power that the stone tablet spoke of. But Madara had not been idle. In between his experiments with Hashirama's chakra and flesh, he'd been out in the world, trying to remember why he fought to bring peace to the war-torn lands of the elemental nations. And the answer came to him after many years, in the form of a stubborn crimson-haired woman and the equally fiery child she bore him. His natural protective instincts brought themselves to the surface of his mind with a vengeance. After all, the daughter of Uchiha Madara would be hunted until her last days. With some advice from his new wife, he developed a Juninjutsu to be placed on Kushina's heart, which would seal away her Uchiha power before it could surface. Her once black hair turned as red as her mother's, and her eyes violet. And so it was that Uchiha Kushina became Uzumaki Kushina, whose chakra was still so abnormally strong that Konoha decided that their previous Jinchuriki had run its course, and it was time to replace her with someone younger and more powerful. Madara's opinion of Konoha had lowered further than he thought it could be at this point, but at least knew Kushina would be kept safe. He had already been old by the time Kushina was born, and his dear wife Haruka's health had been failing. And at least this way he could still watch Kushina from the shadows. His plan went back into motion, but he always kept his eyes on Konoha. Kushina only ever knew him as Otosan, so she remained ignorant for the most part about her heritage. Haruka sent a message to Kushina telling her that Madara had passed away peacefully in his sleep a year after her departure. She left out his actual name, but the stone on his empty grave read Uzumaki Izuna. He hoped his brother didn't mind but knew that Izuna would have liked Haruka, even if he wouldn't like the rest of the Uzumaki. Over time, Madara's bitterness for the shinobi world started to come back. Everywhere he looked, there was some form of misery to be found. His wife was falling incurably ill, the side effect of being treated with infected tools after a scuffle with some IWA shinobi prodding Yuzu's borders. Smaller nations suffered, with orphans created by selfish larger nations. Around every corner of the world, the shinobi nations caused pain. Haruka's death had only made Madara accelerate his plans. By then he had awakened the Rinnegan and summoned the Gedo Mazo before he transplanted the eyes into an Uzumaki orphan whose own chakra would sustain the eyes, whilst keeping a spare eye on a boy who held greater potential than even Namikaze Minato, or the Sandaime Hokage. As time passed and Obito was in his clutches, he entrusted Kurozetsu and Obito to enact the plan and once again faked his death by using Izanagi, programmed to bring him back after 5 years. After transplanting his original eyes back into himself, he spent some time evaluating the changes to the world, and one single, glaring fact stood out and made Madara's blood boil. Kushina is dead. She and her husband died after Obito ripped the Kyuubi out of her, which told Madara something else, that Kushina had also been pregnant. But apparently, Kushina had sensed that Madara didn't know she was capable of, and before the Yondaime could seal away the Kyuubi into their newborn son, she teleported it away with an advanced Jikuken ninjutsu that took the full remainder of her chakra and life force to do but left the child without any Kyuubi sealed in him. Kushina would have died anyway with the Kyuubi ripped out of her, but Madara admired that even on the brink of death, Kushina would not let her son be used for Konoha's greater good. Sacrifices needed to be made, but Konoha's reliance on the bijou to maintain the imaginary balance of power was pure weakness. As much as he hated the fact that Kushina was dead, it may very well have been the best decision. If she had sealed the Kyuubi back into herself, she wouldn't have been able to avoid attention from village officials that would attempt to weaponize her. It would have painted a huge target on her back for not only spiteful villagers but other greedy nations. Minato had died too in a combination of chakra exhaustion and giant claw through the stomach, but Madara didn't mourn the man. Such loyalty to a place like Konoha was enough for Madara to dislike him, and with his grandson now free of the Minato's influence, the boy could be taught to think for himself like a true Uchiha should. Madara didn't doubt that Minato would have tried to get Naruto into the trap of village above all and be self-sacrificial. Madara sighed and stood up, his ancient bones actually creaking as he did so. He knew he didn't have much time left, and Hashirama's DNA would only support him for so long, but he could at least spend his last years raising his grandson and turning him into every bit the legend Madara himself was. He would make sure of it. Spiky black hair with a slight blue tint. Check. Charcoal black eyes and a fair but healthy skin tone. Check. Unnaturally powerful chakra and abnormally large reserves. Check. This was definitely his grandson. If it weren't for a DNA test or being able to sense the chakra similarities, no one would have guessed he was Kushina or Minato's son too. The resemblance between Naruto and a young Madara was startling. If he were to hazard a guess, he would say that Naruto as a 5-year-old had as much chakra as Madara himself did at almost 8. Something easily attributed to his Uzumaki genes combined with the Uchiha. Taking a closer look, he saw that the boy was sitting underneath a tree by the artificial extension of Naka River that ran through Konoha from one side to another. This area was particularly quiet regarding civilian foot traffic, which was probably why Naruto chose it for the little chakra control exercise he was doing. It didn't surprise him that such a serene place could be found in Konoha. It was a very large village, and there were even a few large parks that could be mistaken as forests within the walls. A leaf was stuck to his forehead. By the bored look on the boy's face, Madara could tell that Naruto had been there a while and had most likely mastered the exercise not long ago. He inwardly praised the patience it took. With reserves like Naruto's, he'd probably been out for hours. Still, that control would remain with him for the rest of his life. Madara also reasoned that now that Naruto had mastered the exercise, he grew bored with nothing else to occupy him. He looks up to the sky. Perfect. It's only midday, giving Madara the opportunity to confront the boy and get the ball rolling. He stepped out of the trees, purposefully brushing his legs against a bush to get the boy's attention. Sure enough, Naruto looked his way and eyed him with all the suspicion a 5-year-old could muster. Hello, child. Madara greets in his aged baritone, as though it isn't strange for an old man in a cloak to be approaching a young boy. Hello? Naruto replied politely but still suspicious. I noticed that you were practicing chakra control while out on my walk. Are you training to become a shinobi? Madara asked, spinning a conversation as a typical old man would. Yeah, Naruto seemed to relax and a bit of excitement entered his expression. I can stick a leaf to my forehead now, very impressive for someone your age. Madara commended. How long did it take you? I dunno, Naruto shrugs boredly. But it was ages. I came out when I woke up. How did you learn the leaf sticking exercise? You have to be much older to join the academy. Madara was genuinely a bit curious. I read it in an old book at the orphanage. Naruto reveals, looking proud, but the look was replaced with an annoyed frown. The rest of the book was all wrecked though. I don't know what to do now. Madara's lips twitched. So that was why he was looking so bored earlier. You must be good at reading then? He asks conversationally. Naruto nods, expression proud. Yeah. Tsukimi-bachan lets me go early since the other kids can't read so well yet. The woes of advancing faster than your peers. Prodigies often knew it too well. You know, I could teach you something too. Madara offers slyly. Like what? Naruto walks up to him, reservations and suspicion temporarily forgotten. Madara nearly smiles, wondering if he had ever been this trusting as a child. Well, I could teach you some more chakra control. I was a shinobi once too, you know. A strong one. Madara reveals. Really? Naruto seemed doubtful. Most likely thinking an old man couldn't really be strong. How about we make a deal? If you can master this new exercise before the day is up, I'll come back and teach you ninjutsu tomorrow. Naruto is almost visibly vibrating in excitement. Madara went into an explanation about what the tree climbing exercise was, along with a quick demonstration. Naruto soaked up everything the old man had to say, and just before he began his own attempts at the exercise, he poses a question. Hey Ji-san, what's your name? It's polite to give your name first. The old man chastised mildly. Naruto looked a bit embarrassed at the reprimand but spoke up. I'm Uzumaki Naruto. Well, Naruto. You can call me Madara. Now get to it, the day won't last forever. As Naruto sped up the tree and made it a not-so-astonishing 3 steps up before falling flat on his back, Madara thought that things had gone better than he could have expected them to. In time he would reveal the truth to Naruto about his heritage, but for now, oof. Naruto wheezed again after failing. He wouldn't mind a few more days like this before he died again. They were few and far in between in his life. Naruto wasn't fully Uchiha. He was an Uzumaki, a Senju by principle. He took traits from both and yet, he seemed to be something entirely different. Madara watched as Naruto confidently jumped down from the top of the tree and landed softly on the dirt road, a feat that probably would have at least fractured the bones of any other child his age. But the differences were all physical, except in appearance. Naruto's chakra was already strong without training, and his body was more durable in every way when compared to an Uchiha or Senju child. When it came to looks and personality, however, Naruto was truly Madara's grandson, especially regarding their minds. He snapped back at Madara when he teased the boy, and he made more and more progress up the tree with every failure. Madara didn't let these thoughts distract him from raising Naruto. If anything, the presence of an Uzumaki body would merely enhance the boy's pre-existing natural talents such as the Sharingan and chakra strength to a greater level of potential. To what level was anyone's guess, seeing as the natural birth of an Uchiha and Uzumaki child in one had never occurred during the entire duration of recorded history, Kushina being a modified exception. On top of that, Madara was different to every other Uchiha who had ever awoken the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan. He managed to reproduce before dying. Even he couldn't predict what kind of effects that would have on Naruto, being the only descendant of someone like him. Worst case? It meant nothing. Best case would be freedom from a curse. In fact, Madara may very well have died before attaining the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan, and never discovered the solution to its crippling, inevitable blindness. He was haunted by the loss of Izuna, and in his grief took the only thing he could to continue the fight. Izuna's eyes had never failed him. Madara would always remember that day. The day he lost his last brother, and the trust of his clan. I did it! Naruto cheers, snapping him out of his thoughts. I got to the top. You said that you would teach me ninjutsu. I said that I would teach you one, and tomorrow. Madara's cracked lips twitch. It's getting late, Naruto. The sun was nearly down already. As much as he would like to spend more time with Naruto, it would be suspicious if the boy didn't go back to the orphanage. And from what Madara understood, this was the first time that Naruto had ever trained in the shinobi arts. No matter how much energy and chakra Naruto had, his body wasn't ready for that level of rigorous training yet. Madara would wait until he was certain that Naruto could handle it. Naruto looks around and notices that it's getting dark. His lips tilt down. I should go, Ji-san. Good night, Naruto. Come back early tomorrow for that jutsu. Madara nods stoically. Naruto smiles a bit tiredly, but picks up his book and water bottle and turns down the beaten path. Naruto. The boy looks back and takes in Madara's sharp expression. Don't tell anyone about me. Not even the person you trust the most. Naruto picks up on the seriousness in his tone, and gives him a nod. His expression slackens. The younger between them gives him a wave and runs off. That brat. Madara chuckles wryly. Only 5 years old and mastering genin-level chakra control exercises. 2 in 1 day. That kind of determination was scary in the shinobi world, especially with a lineage like his. He hadn't asked for help, instead going purely on trial and error. He heaves a deep sigh and manages to pick himself up off the bench, using his cane for balance. Things can be taken slowly for now, but he is still plotting. He toils over a plan in his head on how to make his grandson reach his full potential. He is not a good man, but he would do anything for his loved ones. Madara does not stop thinking until he reaches the village wall and the stars are out. He is careful in making sure that no village guard sees him and taps a part of the wall lightly with his cane, just hard enough to push a panel in. A wooden hatch opens up, enough for him to duck under without too much stress on his back. He built this entrance to an underground hideout for his personal use up until he left the village. Judging by the amount of dust that had gathered and how his belongings were all untouched, it seemed as though no one had yet discovered it. No matter. For now, it was just a place to hide between the times that he got to see Naruto. He takes a seat on the wooden throne, dust exploding from the cushion despite the gentle dip, and falls into a deep sleep instantly. Naruto drops into his bed after he eats dinner and has a bath. Big day, Naruto-chan? Tsukimi teases after tucking him in. He doesn't answer. But he does let out a quiet snore into his pillow. Hiruzen has barely a chance to blink before he is picked up by his throat and slammed against the wall of his office. He does take note of a masked man with a red left eye, giving him a glare of pure hatred. Oh dear. This wasn't how he expected his evening to go. Kakashi! Sarutobi splutters, choking on his words. You lied to me. Kakashi's voice is comparatively calm compared to his eyes. Someone steps into the room and gasps in shock. Kakashi! What are you doing? The newcomer shrieks. Sarutobi recognizes it as Shizen, Tsunade's young apprentice. You told me that he was dead, so why? Kakashi's grip tightens. Did I find a child with Sensei's and Kushina's scent? The copy-nin's voice rose with every word, angrier and angrier. Sarutobi cannot answer. Partly because he doesn't think that the for your own good and his excuse will do anything to soothe the ANBU's anger. Mostly because his throat was being crushed. Suddenly he is dropped, and he falls to his knees. He gasps for air, mouth moving like a fish out of water. Kakashi! Another voice sparks. Tsunade this time. What the hell was that about? Answer me. He told me that Naruto was dead. Kakashi's voice is consumed in frustration, enough to ignore protocol. I found Naruto playing near the river. Why wasn't I told? Naruto? Tsunade's hard tone is replaced by confusion. What do you mean you thought he was dead? Sarutobi realizes that things will not go well for him when she finds out what he has done. After Sensei and Kushina, Kakashi swallows thickly. Died. Sarutobi told me that their son was dead. But I found him. He was meant to be my responsibility. Kakashi, I need you to calm down. Kakashi heeds her words, but does not stop his hateful glare. What's your excuse? Tsunade asks him, a bit menacingly. Lying to one of my shinobi like this? The village, he rasped desperately. The village was weak. Kakashi-kun was needed. Kakashi would be of greater use with passable mental health. You're going to have to come up with something better for undermining my authority like this. Tsunade interrupts him ruthlessly. Tsunade turns away from him in mute disgust. It breaks his heart that another one of his precious students feels that way about him. Shizen, take Kakashi to the waiting room. Tsunade orders. I need to have a word with my former advisor. Why yes, Tsunade-sama. Shizen hoops her arm around Kakashi's and drags him out, pointedly looking away from Hiruzen. Kakashi allows her to lead him out, but his Sharingan is glinting more viciously than any Uchiha that the old man has ever met. There is a moment of silence while the Sandaime drags himself back into his chair. He wasn't going to lie to himself. He was truly terrified of what Kakashi could have done to him if Shizen-chan and Tsunade hadn't been there to save him. There was a reason that he was only an advising old man. He was well and truly beyond any combat capacity he might have had a mere few years earlier. I don't think that I need to tell you that you're being asked to leave. Tsunade starts off. This manipulative behavior has a time and place, when it serves to protect Konoha and its subjects. Hiding this from Kakashi was a bad idea, but what I'm confused about is why you thought it would even work, even if it had been the right thing to do. I can't trust your input any longer. The hardness in her tone has returned. But it is the truth that hurts him more. So he nods silently. Good. Tsunade nods in satisfaction. Tsunade steps out of the room, no doubt to assess Kakashi's current state. Hiruzen silently despairs at her cold dismissal, but having things put into perspective like that makes him realize that he had probably only made things worse, and he knows that he has brought his suffering upon himself. Deep down, Hiruzen acknowledges that maybe he had put the village itself before the subjects too often. He thought he was doing what was best, but it should have been obvious that an emotionally traumatized boy like Kakashi could have been thrown completely off the deep end and become a gigantic flight risk because of his stupidity. Kakashi's constant enduring of underappreciation and mental stress speaks well of his character, but not of the people he is supposed to protect. They remain ignorant of the perils he goes through each and every day. Hiruzen wipes his eyes and picks up his belongings. He has no right to interfere anymore. Orochimaru was lost to him long ago, and Tsunade was seeing him for what he truly was. He only hoped that his last student would see him, as he always had. Tsunade sighs as she steps into the hall. It was just one thing after another today, though to be fair, she hadn't expected Kakashi of all people to assault a former Hokage. Seeing Naruto must have riled him up beyond his normal sense of calm. Naruto, she'd heard whispers of another prodigy to be from teams that babysat at the orphanage. They would complain about one boy in particular that was a handful, even for the jounin. He showed a remarkable ability to pick up what he watched, and the story about him getting into a fight over some girl's pendant still made her smile. She thought back to his parents. She wasn't actually well acquainted with Kushina, despite the relation, but she did know Minato. Mostly because Jiraiya wouldn't shut up about him when the kid was his student, and always brought Minato with him when he saw Tsunade, if only to show him off. The kid was flaky and annoying, but both he and Kushina had been taken before their time. Nobody deserves dying with the knowledge that their child's future is uncertain, and there's Kakashi too. Tsunade sighs again as she steps into the conference room, where she sees Shizen chattering to a quiet Kakashi. The kid had seriously been through some tough shit. Having to look after himself after his father commits suicide and finding the body himself one night was bound to have some psychological effect on him, but then proceeding to lose two close friends, one of which he had to kill, and a sensei that was probably more like a father figure to him, it was going to get to the point that Kakashi just wouldn't be able to keep himself afloat in his own despair. She needed to do something immediately. She thinks back to Tsukumo. The man had no attachment or bonds to help his mental state save for his son, but wasn't discouraged from doing the honorable thing and removing himself from Kakashi's life. With the way things were going, Kakashi may very well do the same thing as an escape from being unable to cope with his losses. Tsunade toils over it for a while, watching Shizen comfort Kakashi out of the corner of her eye, and thinks she may have a plan. She strides into the room and plants herself in front of the frozen ANBU. Alright kid, this is how it's going to be. Tsunade puts on her best stern voice. I'm giving you another 5 years in ANBU at maximum. After that, you're going to become a jounin sensei. Kakashi's face becomes instantly disbelieving and he nearly shoots out of his chair to protest, but Tsunade is quick to settle him down. You can, of course, send your new subordinates back to the academy if they fail your test, but at the end of the next 5 years, you will not be returning to ANBU. For all intents and purposes, you will be another public jounin. Kakashi looks quite flabbergasted when she is done, making her smirk with open amusement. Shizen seems hopeful, and Tsunade knows that her student is concerned for Kakashi for more than one reason. The Jounin isn't exactly fit to take care of a child in the capacity of a family member, but she thinks that he can probably take up a position as a sensei and help not only his students, but himself. After a few silent minutes, Kakashi breathes out a resigned breath and manages to say only one thing. Hi. Tsunade smiles, and hopes that she has done right by the kid. We can talk about your assault of a Konoha citizen another time. And your enrollment in an instructor's course to see if you actually are fit to teach genin. You overreacted. Badly. You're going to be punished, regardless of your station. Kakashi's head droops. Do you even know how to use hand signs? Madara's question halts Naruto's desire to dive straight into learning the ninjutsu the old man promised him, and he realizes that no, he doesn't know how to use them. The old man sighs and mutters something about more than just blood before beckoning him over with his hand. Here, Madara stops him, but close enough to see his hands. This is the ram seal. It's the most commonly used seal because it is the only neutral seal. All it does is speed up your chakra so that it can be used for breaking genjutsu or activating a ninjutsu that you are already skilled in. And this went on until Madara had shown him all 12 basic signs, and made him repeat them back to him while doing them. A correction here and there, and nearly half an hour later, Naruto could perform all of them well enough to perform a jutsu. The seals you need for this jutsu are first, tiger, ram, monkey, boar, horse, and tiger again. Madara weaves the signs as he says them and takes a deep breath. Facing the river, he breaths out the jutsu. Katon, Gokaki no Jutsu. Naruto gulps when a house-sized fireball engulfs his vision. The old man's hair billows behind him as the jutsu boils the water and cooks whatever is unlucky enough to be caught under the gigantic flame. Madara stops the jutsu when he runs out of breath, and Naruto is still in complete awe. I'm gonna learn that? He is given a gentle push from Madara's cane, and it's enough for him to clumsily fly through the signs 3 times before getting them right enough for a first attempt. Madara turns and sits on a wooden bench. Madara waves a hand-sized fan to stave off the heat. There isn't exactly much shade right next to the river, but he wants to watch his grandson master the coming of age for the Uchiha clan, even if said grandson doesn't know it yet. He smirked at Naruto's first attempt when he blows out a flame as big as a house cat, just like his own father laughed at him for doing the same. Naruto's shocked exclamation of annoyance makes him even more amused. And then Naruto sets to work with the same perfectionist attitude that he did to master the chakra control exercises yesterday. He stands in place for hours, weaving the same hand signs over and over again, and by midday he can create a fireball as tall as Madara. He is impressed. Very impressed. But it isn't just the small amount of time that Naruto has spent on this jutsu, but rather how little chakra the boy has used over the course of the day. Maybe little wasn't describing it accurately. It was more a matter of the great quantities of chakra that Naruto has used over the day having had no major impact on his reserves. Even a seasoned Uchiha genin would be hard-pressed to match Naruto's feat. It was usually quite common for an Uchiha child to master the jutsu in a few days. But like Madara at that age, Naruto's chakra coils weren't able to express the full strength of his chakra through them yet. The lungs didn't magically fill up with fire chakra, they were supplied to by the tenketsu attached to them, which needed training through use to apply more chakra. It was vital that Naruto learn how this worked before he got older. If he were to receive an ignorant teacher to the nature of chakra as a whole, then Naruto would be at risk of never reaching his full potential using it. As the hours pass, Naruto's fireball becomes more than adequate for his age, and Madara believes that he has mastered the jutsu. All that was left was to grow older in order to make him more capable of using it. Naruto. Madara beckons, and his grandson bounds over, face alight with joy. I can make the fireball now. Yes, you can. Madara agrees, but with grim voice to capture Naruto's attention. But ninjutsu also comes with responsibility. If you show off your jutsu without thinking about the consequences, you might get in trouble. Or worse, the enemies you'll meet when you grow up and graduate will have the upper hand. Naruto didn't really seem to understand, so Madara was forced to endure a good 20 Ys in a row. So the bad guys won't know how to beat me if I keep it secret? That's right. Good lad. Naruto beamed. It is the first of many lessons subtly taught, enough that Naruto's young mind would keep it up without questioning it. Over the course 3 years, Madara was forced to realize that in his current condition, there were just some things he could not do for Naruto. Naruto had just turned 8, which meant he was finally ready to start Shinobi Academy. He would be bouncing if Gigi hadn't been strict about being too emotional, or whatever. He was done with kiddie school. He was allowed to be happy. Tsukimi-bachan had equipped him with some flip-flops and a kimono shirt, and some pencils and books that he was supposed to need. He recognized one of them as a book he learned the leaf-sticking exercise from. It was nice looking at a new one instead of the tatty one he had before. Gigi always said you should take care of your belongings, especially your equipment that you need. There were lots of kids around. He guessed they were going to be his classmates. It was kind of funny how they all looked like baby versions of the adults standing with them. Was that normal? Maybe he needed to ask Bachan. Gigi knew a whole lot too. Uzumaki Naruto. His name is called by a man with a scar on his face. He steps forward, arm raised. Here, several adults look at him. It makes him feel a little shy, The way they speak to each other in hushed whispers. Naruto doesn't like it. Who can tell me the two founding clans of Konohagakure no Sato? A pink-haired girl raises her hand. Your name again, please? Irika-sensei is very polite. Not like the previous teachers. Haruno Sakura. She chirps, standing up. The Senju clan and the Uchiha clan. Very good, Sakura-chan. Take a seat. Now can someone else tell me who the leaders of those clans were? Senju Hashirama. A boisterous voice shouts from the back row. Naruto looks back and doesn't recognize them as one of the clan kids. Raise your hand if you would like to answer. Irika-sensei ignores the shout, so Naruto raises his hand. Name? Uzumaki Naruto. He stands up. Senju Hashirama was the leader of the Senju clan. That's right. Take a seat. He does so as the loud boy in the back squawks indignantly. It almost makes him smile. Irika speaks up again. I heard one of the clan leaders' names, but not the other. Can someone tell me who the other leader was? His eyes seem to trail deliberately over another dark-haired boy's. Said boy raises his hand. Uchiha Sasuke. He stated without being asked. The leader of the other clan was Uchiha Madara. What? Naruto couldn't stop thinking about the name Uchiha Madara, but he didn't see Madara for nearly a week. I waited for you, but you didn't show up. Naruto scowled. His youthful petulance had only been tamed so much. Don't be so quick in jumping to conclusions. You failed to notice that you were being watched last week. Watched? Naruto looked alarmed, but was also trying to hide his guilt at sounding so pushy to the old man that was teaching him. Yes, I did not reveal myself because it seems that your fellow orphans decided to follow you here. Madara revealed, purposely adding a mite of annoyance to his voice. You need to practice taijutsu anyway. An old man like me can't do anything more than tell you what to do. That might work for jutsu, but not for things that will hit you back. Naruto looked more guilty, but it seemed he didn't want to completely concede fault. He could have a worse trait in Madara's opinion. Not wanting to give up was a valuable behavior, but knowing the facts and choosing his battles was another thing Naruto needed to learn. But why does that matter? You could have taught them too. I also don't want to train them, Naruto. I chose you to train for a reason. Madara baited. But why? Was the golden question. Madara smiled. All I will say is that we have a connection, and you have vast potential. You can find out yourself exactly why it is that I am interested in your growth in particular. Konoha has a wealth of information at its disposal, and its history since the foundation of the village is well recorded. Figure out our connection, and then you will understand. You have my name already, and you have yours. Start there. Naruto stayed silent while Madara sat down on the bench. This link that we share is the reason that I must remain a secret to those around you. It is the reason why your life is at risk for as long as you remain weak. I have a great deal of knowledge myself, and that knowledge may be used to harm you if you recklessly give it away to just anybody, orphans or otherwise. So go. I will be here at the same time, every week, and when you have gained the knowledge you need to understand why I have chosen you, ask, I shall answer all of your questions. A deep breath, so that his dusty lungs could continue. When you can be bothered, that is. You are young and full of life. Konoha was built so that children like you could flourish and be given the time to become strong adults. When you are ready, look for answers. Until then, you'll just have to put up with being annoyed with the way I'll train you. Madara took a deep breath of the fresh Konoha air. It seemed things were going to go quicker than he thought. But perhaps that was for the best. He was on his last legs, so to speak. A man more bone and dust than anything else. Naruto was a citizen of Konoha, and that afforded him a service in the form of caretakers and friends that could help him adjust to modern parlance and social cues, and it gave Madara the ability to focus on actually teaching Naruto abilities, and providing educational hints on what might be a good thing to believe in order to preserve and advance what he cared about. He felt that while Naruto was too young to impart his age-earned philosophies and beliefs upon, he could set puzzle pieces in the mind of his grandson, so that when an event occurred that was related to something he spoke of, a piece would fall in place and Naruto would unintentionally understand something that he might not even remember being taught. It was like teaching him to walk, he liked to think. Madara did not have the time left on this earth to mold him in every way, but Obito hadn't exactly turned out how he wanted when trying to turn him into the second coming of Uchiha Madara. I'll give you a hint. Madara allows, for the sake of speeding up the process further. What? Is the immediate question. I'm training you and teaching you for the same reason that the other children in your class get taught early. That's it. A deep heaving breath to continue again. That's all you're getting from me, brat. Naruto lets it go, but he does give distracted and concerned glances towards Ji-san. Occasionally the coughing and raspy breathing doesn't stop and Madara can't say goodbye sometimes before he leaves. Tell me what you learned today. Madara's voice can barely escape his mouth. Irika-sensei and Mizuki-sensei showed us how to throw kunai. We can't have our own yet, they said, but Irika-sensei said I was really good for someone who never threw one before. Madara's breathing calms, and he listened with a smile as Naruto recounts his day. Naruto can't help but wonder, is this old man the Uchiha Madara? Are you gonna die? Naruto asked quietly, voice somber but steady. Tsukimi is not surprised at Naruto's question. He has always been quicker on the uptake than his fellow orphans. She could hardly lie to him. Yes. She croaks. It was inevitable. She was old, there was no medicine for that. Not that she would buy it. Every bit of money she had would have to go to the children if they weren't going to be provided for by Konoha's council. And if they did, she wanted what money she had to go to her granddaughter who rarely had time to see her given her busy life trying to get her bakery up and running. Do you have any family? Naruto poses another question, and she would not be surprised if he had managed to tell her thoughts from her expressions. Tsukimi smiles at the concerned boy. Yes dear, my family is very beautiful. I miss them when they aren't here. Naruto fidgets with the line of his shorts, looking down. What's family like? She smiles wider. Family is wonderful, Naruto-kun. Words can't describe to you the love and happiness family brings you. One day you're going to have a family of your own, and you'll realize too that there is nothing you won't do to protect and make them happy too. She goes on to tell stories both funny and sad at Naruto's behest, and unknowingly impresses upon him. Family is wonderful. Naruto and the other orphans are not woken up by Tsukimi the next morning, and Naruto has decided it's his responsibility to let someone know. His first and only stop is the Hokage's office. He doesn't bother going to the academy for the rest of the week. Tsukimi-bachan died. I don't know what to do now. Shizen kneels down before the crying boy and pulls him into a hug. Don't worry, sweetie. Everything's going to be fine. Naruto is one of few that are given their own apartment, with a caretaker that stops by once a week with some frozen meals and teaches him how to cook and clean. He is one of the only kids at the orphanage who isn't placed into foster care after the process is rushed following Tsukimi's death, and he thinks he knows why. His first encounter with death is something he remembers intensely. GG. Are you my grandfather? Yes, Naruto. I am. Single Tomo Sharingan meets triple Tomo. Training barely changes, but Madara is going in full force teaching in comparison to before. It is true that small chakra reserves are easier to control at first. Madara agreed after listening to what the academy instructors had to say about it from Naruto. However, easy doesn't always mean best. Some chakra control exercises can't be learned unless you have a certain amount of chakra. People not born with the potential for large reserves like you or myself could never hope to achieve the utmost perfected chakra control. Why can we learn it and other people can't? Naruto asks astutely. Madara had known at some point he would need to explain exactly what made them different to normal people. He hadn't expected Naruto to catch on so quickly. Shared smarts was a blessing and a curse. I will only explain this to you once. You must never tell anyone what I am about to tell you until you are powerful enough that it won't matter. Do you understand me? Madara's question was firm, and his eye dangerously sharp. Naruto only nodded in response. His Sharingan read Madara's lips so that he could remember forever. Good. Madara sighed and leaned back into the wooden throne. I will first need to tell you the history of the Uchiha and Senju, and it went on for nearly 2 hours. Naruto sat patiently but enraptured with Madara's tale. The Uchiha bloodline's origin, the link between the Senju and Uzumaki. Just what it was that he and Madara were different from the rest, with an embarrassing speech on how babies were made thrown in. To Naruto, it may have well been torture. He regretted asking after the first 5 minutes. Your mother, while not showing it in any way, possessed my genes which were passed on into you. That is why you look so different to your parents, because you look like me instead. But why aren't they here? Naruto asks morosely. Why did they die if they were so strong? Madara stays silent for a few moments, looking at his hands on the top of his cane. It is because of me, Madara states in monotone. My dream to bring peace upon with world drove another like-minded man to take up my goal, Suki no Mi. What? Suki no Mi was my plan to force the world into an inescapable, perfect genjutsu. One that would control all beings to submit, and each person would have their individual utopia to reside in forever. The problem with my plan was that I needed the Rinnegan, the combined DNA of Uchiha and Senju, along with the 9 Bijou, and a lifespan that would allow me to fulfill the plan at the correct time. I did not have that time, so I made an apprentice out of an Uchiha to fulfill it for me. What's that got to do with Ka-san and Tu-san being dead? Naruto asks, stomach dropping. Madara looked up from his hands, and Naruto is reminded that the old man isn't strong enough to keep the Sharingan on all the time anymore. A fading charcoal eye looks him in his crimson ones. Naruto held his tongue. He wanted to shout out all of the anger that was boiling in him. He didn't want to say something that would turn the only person he had against him. Naruto, Madara calls softer than he ever had. No matter what I have done, and how evil I may appear to you now, you can always trust that from now on, I would do anything in my power for you. How am I supposed to believe you? Naruto leapt to his feet, face red with fury. You still haven't told me why they're dead, and now it feels like you might have killed them. I haven't done anything since meeting you to make you believe that I am your enemy. At least listen to my words before you decided to kill me. Naruto looked stunned. I wasn't going to. He trails off, unsure what to say to something that hadn't even crossed his mind. Madara looks like he misjudged the reaction too by the way he sucks his lips in, a semi-frustrated expression. So he begins to talk again. My apprentice killed her in a sense. Extracting a bijou from a person kills them. They may manage to last a short while without dying afterwards, but there has been no record of anyone actually living. It is only because of how powerful your mother's chakra was that she managed to survive so long after the extraction, and if she had been given medical attention then she may have lived long enough to raise you. The problem is that a female Jinchuriki seal is at its absolute weakest when they are giving birth. My apprentice took advantage of that to obtain the QB sealed within her. I don't know how he knew where she would be, that information should have been kept secret. Giving birth to you, having the strongest bijou taken out of her, and then not receiving medical help because the threat of the QB destroying the village was all too much for her to live. If she had the choice, she would have stayed with you as all parents want. Madara breaths deep, ancient body not able to deal with so much talking at once. Your father understood that there was no hope of your mother surviving, so he sought to make a new Jinchuriki. I'm a Jinchuriki? No. Madara denies. Kushina took over the sealing ritual, and used the power that your father was going to use in order to send the QB away. She couldn't bear the thought of you suffering as she did, regardless of what Konoha needed. On the brink of death, she made a decision that would leave her despised by village officials, but at least give a better chance of her son living happy and healthy. Both of your parents suffered terrible wounds to save you from the QB. Given that your father lived long enough to attempt turning you into the new Jinchuriki, I would wager that he was strong enough to either kill my apprentice or leave him to lick his wounds for at least a decade later. It probably didn't matter either way. Setsu was still at large, probably plotting. Being a tool and created in his darkest moments, it wouldn't stop until it fulfilled its purpose. If you had the chance, would you change anything? Naruto asks, somewhat rhetorically. There is no point in dwelling on what I would change. Even if the things I have done remain secret, and not a single person knows, it would still be the truthful past, least of all the past that has had a tangible effect on our reality today. Naruto is quiet, toiling this information dump in his mind for several dozen minutes. Old man, Naruto begins his declaration, drawing Madara's eyes to him. Train me to be the strongest. I'm gonna have a family one day too. I'm not gonna let them down. Several weeks passed since some important revelations changed Naruto's outlook, but the only thing that changed about his training was that Madara was no longer withholding helpful information now that he knew Naruto could keep secrets. Teaching Naruto about the Sharingan was one of many things, as well as other Uchiha Jutsu, and while Madara could no longer participate in taijutsu training, he could still use the occasional genjutsu if he was feeling well to help guide Naruto's movements. In the era of warring states, there were taijutsu users everywhere. While fewer in number, they have not changed. They still remain weak in skill and power, and the true taijutsu masters were the only ones in the spotlight. Madara lectures. Ninjutsu and genjutsu did not have the same great repertoires they did after the founding of the hidden villages. Before that, it was important to master each jutsu with a measurable ability very quickly so that it could be used in battle instead of training to develop new jutsu based off of them. Naruto listens intently as he did pull-ups on a wooden beam, strengthening his body and therefore, his physical energies. So why is taijutsu still so important? We have those jutsu now. Naruto barely articulates his sentence through each pull-up. Taijutsu is more an umbrella term that governs all things physical in combat. It is not just forms of martial arts, it is the chase as an enemy runs, it is the speed at which you evade kunai, shuriken, sword strikes, and even jutsu. Most shinobi use ninjutsu and genjutsu as their first and last resorts when it should be the opposite. Using taijutsu conserves your chakra for when it is needed, and the chakra in your body automatically converts itself into the appropriate energy for fueling and repairing your body in the midst of combat. It is more than fine to use your chakra when you see fit, but do you understand what I am trying to tell you? Naruto drops from the beam and grabs his bottle of water, taking several small sips at a time as to avoid spewing it up. He has learned his lesson from the first time he did. He answers his grandfather's question, putting that thought away. Don't leave gaps in your skills. Naruto states. And what do you mean by gaps? Madara presses, making sure that his charge had practice in conversation and also to find out if he had taken his teachings to heart. If you rely on any skill too much and it doesn't work, you might not have any other options to win. Naruto sits down, legs sprawled out. You can't do anything if the only thing you're good at keeps getting countered. If you're not the best as you can possibly be in a world where people can pretty much do anything with chakra, there is always going to be someone better than you to take away everything. Good. Madara leans back in his chair, but not taking his eyes off of Naruto's exhausted but thoughtful face. Something was clearly bothering him though. Could he have the right answer that took him so long to discover himself? What bothers you, my grandson, Chi-san? Naruto addresses quietly as he looks up at Madara. Can your chakra get stolen? Close. So very close. It depends on what you mean. Madara indulges. I mean, taken away forever. What if I couldn't use chakra anymore? Perfect. Possibly, Madara replies. But it is not a simple matter of just being unable to use chakra ever again. Chakra is built into our bodies from conception, to birth, and to death. If you took chakra away from someone who wasn't a shinobi and never learned to use it, the same effect would be created by doing the same to people like us who train our lives to use this power. They, and we, would die. Naruto looks a bit disturbed at that, and with good reason. I thought Naruto cuts himself off. Didn't you say that the Rikudo Sannin gave humans chakra? Why would he give us a weakness like that? I told you the legend of how the Rikudo Sannin brought peace to the world, by giving humans chakra and teaching them Nishu for cooperation and the active facilitation of peace. Madara corrected, inwardly thrilled that he actually has someone to talk about the point with. You say legend like you don't believe that's the truth. Naruto observes, dark eyes showing curiosity and not disregard or rejection. Legends are often derived from actual truth. Madara acknowledged. But just the same, they are hardly ever the real truth. You observed yourself just now that the glaring weakness of all beings is that their chakra can be drained from them, killing them, so it stands to reason that we should question why exactly that is. Did the Rikudo build this weakness into us on purpose? Or is it something necessary tied to our biology that we need to have this weakness for the Rikudo to teach us how to use chakra in the first place? Naruto considers this for a few moments. I think both could be as likely as each other. Naruto thought aloud, eyes narrowed in thought. I don't know anything that could say that the Rikudo Sannin was really a good guy fighting for peace. Maybe he used pain and death to terrorize people into submitting to his will of peace? Reasonable, given the information I have taught you. Madara admits. But the Rikudo would have left a darker legacy upon the world had that been the case. After he died, his sons continued a legacy of war between them, as evident by the never-ending conflict between the Uchiha and Senju, and it could easily be argued that they are the cause of the 1,000-year strife and the era of warring states. It was they who showed the world how to use chakra against your fellow man. It could have been that they were using what they were taught by their father, but it is more likely the reason behind that conflict was because of personal behavior instead of their father's legacy. Why is that more likely? The sage is just a legend now. It's not like there's anyone left that still practices Nishu. True, Madara admits. But consider what I told you before. It is not as though the Rikudo left a legacy of suffering on the world. The hearts of the people he brought peace to did not change, only their perceptions of his sons. He went far and wide, to every corner of the world to spread his religion, and they passed on their knowledge to their offspring, teaching them that the sage was a man of goodwill and that his sons were misguided and irresponsible, and that is a legacy that was still visible in the world until less than 100 years ago. The Uchiha and Senju were regarded as nothing more than warmongering tribesmen, undeserving of the power they were born with, but then they forgot. Naruto realizes. When the Uchiha and Senju banded together, everyone else banded together too in desperation so they would have the power to fight back, when the Uchiha and Senju both wanted real peace for once, and so they forgot their own legacies, and brought upon the age of the hidden village. Madara smiles, pleased at his grandson's reasoning. They sought more and more power, and then forgot why over the span of 100 years, before sinking into the same pit they sought to never fall in. Might is right. They became even worse than the Uchiha and Senju ever were. They employed tactics such as attacking small and harmless communities to provoke responses from other villages, and kidnapping children with Kekkei in order to give themselves strength, instead of earning it on their own, like Kaa-san. And the Hyuga girl, indeed, was all Madara had left to say on that matter. But back to what I was saying earlier. Everything has a weakness. Individual jutsu have weakness in opposing chakra natures. Genjutsu can be broken, but only think on this weakness of possessing chakra that could be stolen as something you need to improve all of your skills for. Chakra can only be stolen by jutsu more powerful than the chakra itself. It is a natural weakness in your body, but it can be improved, even though the answer for the occasion may not be as simple as having stronger chakra. We have talked about this. Do not rely on a single thing to save you, or that thing will betray you by not being what you need it to be. Not even the Sharingan can be the key to open every lock. A labored breath. Perhaps it's better that you experience it for yourself. Combat will be revealing for you. Madara hands the boy a fresh-looking, small book. Bingo book, Land of Fire South. Pick your mission well, and do not leave until you are certain you are ready to. Getting blood on your hands for the first time is no simple matter. A terrible incident involving their distant relatives occurs, and Madara has little good to say about the dead. He seemed to have a view on family that kept his immediate relatives in higher regard. They got what they deserved. How cruel, grandfather! Do you not love your family as you love me? Madara doesn't so much give an eye roll in his grandson's sarcastic remark. Naruto was well aware what Gigi thought about those who betrayed him. There was only one survivor. Sasuke is in my class, and it was his big brother that did it. Weak. He didn't finish the job. Mean. Madara goes off on another lecture. The fact that even one survived means that there may be some foul play, and I doubt that just one man killed an entire clan. No, there may be more to this tale than meets the eye. Perhaps my apprentice lived after all. Naruto narrows his eyes. Madara smiles at that. It was easy to stoke the flames of determination within a hot-blooded boy like his grandson. What would you do if I were to die tomorrow, before or after I stopped laughing? Naruto is back to being dry. Madara's brow twitched at his grandson's response. Suddenly, his sense of humor wasn't so funny when it was turned against him. As it was, however, Madara whacked him on the head with his cane. Oh, you're a wily little fox. What happened to the rugrat that used to beg me for jutsu? He realized he was getting the jutsu either way. Naruto made an annoyed face. Too bad you're a brat who can't use them all yet. Madara dismisses that comment. His grandson might think he was going soft. You'd keel over if you tried one at your age, old man. Children these days. No respect and no skill. Old people. Mush for brains and smell no matter how much they shower. Naruto yelps when Madara strikes him again with the cane. Alright. Under the cover of night, 9-year-old Uchiha Naruto moved swiftly through tall trees and windy weather. His grandfather told him this would be his final test. If a shinobi was to thrive in this cursed world, no matter their lineage, then they must learn to kill. Naruto had spent the past week tracking a group of missing nin that had been terrorizing neighboring towns of Nami no Kuni. He had a sword tucked to his waist in order to compensate for the lack of reach he had on adults. No matter how unskilled they were, they still had bigger bodies. If they managed to grab him at his size and physical strength, it could be all over. He extends his sensory ability, and finds his prey within it. 13 signatures. Good. They're only a few hundred meters away. His Sharingan swirls into life, and 3 Tomo in each peer ominously into the darkness. Naruto reaches the camp, and sees what his sensory power could not. 4 women and a child locked up in a slave's cage, looking unharmed for the most part, but still terrified. Their chakra resonates in distress. Don't you worry now, sweethearts. A shabby-looking man leers at them. We're going to take real good care of ya, ain't that right, boss? The man looks around when he doesn't get a reply. Boss? Bulwark. He drops to the cold ground when a kunai hits him between the eyes, and unfortunately draws the attention of the rest of the camp. Naruto swoops in behind another bandit before more alarm can spread and puts his sword through the rogue's back out of his chest. There he is. Another howls, and the last 5 turn to the intruder. He's just a kid. The same one exclaims, that brat still killed the boss. Get him. The bandits draw the swords and descend upon Naruto. One swipes clumsily, hoping to catch the boy in the chest and end it quickly. His underestimation rewards him with a quickly flicked kunai in the throat. The remaining 4 are more cautious in approaching. But to Naruto, it doesn't matter. They all die tonight. Not fighting the surge of adrenaline, he attacks the one who is holding his sword a bit too loosely and gives the blade a good push to one side with his own. He quickly makes a chopping motion against the bandit's hand, lopping off several fingers. He is forced to dodge an incoming kick from another before he can finish the man off, and reels back when the erratic swipes attempt to make him flee. His attacker resembles a weed in the wind with how haphazardly his arms are moving, and all Naruto needs is one swift cut to the culprit's head, going straight down vertically from the top of his head, and when the sword stops, it is resting in between 2 halves of a nose. The last 2 attackers halt in their tracks unwillingly, and drop to ground like puppets with their strings cut upon gazing into Naruto's hypnotic eyes. Naruto has a perfect line to finish of the 2 unconscious bandits, and the other one currently screaming his head off after losing his fingers. He sheathes his sword and weaves his hands through several hand signs as he takes a deep breath. Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu. The screaming intensifies for only a moment, and disappears before their ashes do in the wind. Naruto escorts the terrified women and little girl to the nearest village, where he turns in the heads of the missing nin, and receives a hefty reward that he needs to seal into a scroll in order to take back home. They were bad people, Ji-san. Naruto reveals in a solemn tone. Really bad. He is under no illusions as to what they would have done to the women if he hadn't gotten there in time. His grandfather has given him the talks and lectures on issues like this, and tells him that there really are bad people like that in the world. The women, as a token of gratitude, swore not to speak a word of what he looks like to the authorities that question them. He wasn't one to pressure people after experiencing something like that, but he knows that he isn't strong enough to beat every enemy that would come after him for the mere fact that he has the Sharingan. Did you run into any problems? As usual, Madara is more concerned for his grandson than for some strangers, but he wasn't so callous to the point of being unsympathetic. Not a problem. Naruto stuffed some food into his mouth that Madara prepared for them both. I expected it to be more trouble than it was. And the fight itself? Naruto pauses before he can put more noodles into his mouth, and carefully considers his answer. It was fun. Naruto admits slowly. I could feel my heart pounding, and Madara stops him by putting a hand on his head and ruffling the black spikes. Now you have tasted true combat. Madara speaks gravely. But there will be many more foes in your future. Stronger, and faster than the ones you fought. Do you understand a little of what it means to be strong now? Naruto swallows and nods. Madara has told him that experience was the only way to truly measure one's own strength, and he felt that the fight could have easily gone the other way if the enemy had only been a bit smarter and more aware of their surroundings. He understands now the mountain-sized difference between his strength and his grandfather's, and resolves to work twice as hard to obtain an even greater power. 11-year-old Naruto made his way to the hideout, his shoulder-length spiky black hair swishing with the wind. He decided he wanted his hairstyle to be like his grandfather's, and was allowing it to grow longer. He is so absorbed in his training that often he doesn't even bother going to the academy. Naruto doesn't think that he has the time to listen to the same old stuff on repeat for the next 2 years until he graduates, and makes a greater effort to train himself past his current limits. His grandfather helps, of course, providing a wisdom that Naruto had never really appreciated up until his first kills little under 2 years ago. He absorbs everything that Madara has to say, masters every jutsu, and scrapes up every shred of energy he has to make himself not just stronger, but the strongest. Madara lectures him in strategy, history, and shinobi as a whole with their many styles and Kekkei Genkai, and pushes him to his absolute limit in taijutsu training. Swordplay, genjutsu, sharingan, shuriken jutsu, and quite a bit of medical ninjutsu. There are many things to learn and Naruto wants to master them all. Naruto knows all the forms by now, but committing them to muscle memory and actually being strong enough to use them was a different story. On the days that his grandfather is too sickly to watch and help, Naruto would either train on his own or go to the academy if he was in need of a day to relax. He aces his exams and wipes the floor with everyone during taijutsu spars, and it frightens off the less confident students. Naruto also develops an interest in Fuinjutsu, not because of his heritage inclining him towards it but because he doesn't want to get caught by a seal that could potentially lead him to powerlessness. As with everything he learns, he studies this art rigorously. Not to mention that Fuinjutsu was basically untouched on seals or barriers that could enhance his training. His grandfather was the closest thing he had to Seal Master Sensei, but Madara hadn't actually needed them to train. Not when he had Hashirama constantly testing his mettle. Madara was only lesser to Hashirama in reputation. Konoha had made sure that it forgot how Madara had once been Hashirama's equal, rivaled him blow for blow, and was once regaled as an unstoppable monolith of power, even having Hashirama on the receiving end of what was possibly the only instance of Uchiha mercy up until that point. Better in a great many fields, taijutsu a mere one of them, but Hashirama gained a certain something that outclassed Madara: senjutsu. If he had known where to learn senjutsu at the time, perhaps he would have beaten Hashirama in the state he was without the Rinnegan, or the man's cells hitching a ride in his body to keep him alive. As someone with similar powers to Naruto, he made the perfect teacher to reach his full potential, and what he could not teach, Naruto had the time gifted from youth to seek out his answers. Eventually, Naruto just quits going to the academy. He was required to sit in a meeting to discuss his future with the Hokage and 4 academy administrators to make it evident that the program was not helping him grow, and since early graduation was prohibited after the Uchiha incident, he had nothing to do in class besides go over the same points he already knew several times a day. Mind-numbing. Tsunade agreed easily, telling him only to train even harder with the time given to him, and as she did so the academy admins folded like wet paper and their arguments disappeared into nothingness. He was still required to show up for at least 6 months a year in order to make sure his literacy skills were up to scratch, and also to instill some of that Konoha spirit, but 6 months a year to train in exchange was a worthy sacrifice. So he had 2 years to train himself as much as possible before being tossed into genin life. He hoped that the pay was alright. Looking around to make sure he wasn't being followed, and sensing around for good measure, he carefully enters the hideout as usual. Something was off though. Gigi was weaker, but he could still usually at least feel his presence. He couldn't feel his grandfather's chakra. Ji-san? Naruto called out, voice echoing through the cave. Naruto made his way further and spotted his grandfather sitting in his usual chair. But something was wrong. Naruto still couldn't sense the strong chakra that should be there. Gigi? Naruto tried again. He tried to shake his grandfather awake. No response. Wake up, Ji-san. Naruto shook harder in panic. His mind registered the ugly truth, but the boy still wanted his grandfather to wake up. Naruto collapsed to his knees, and for the second time he could remember, broke down crying. He sat there on the dirty cave floor, and remembered the times he shared with the last of his family. 6 months later, Tsunade smiles as the young Uzumaki enters her office. Naruto picks the days well to ask for help, seeing as no one else was around. Happy 12th birthday, Naruto. More stern and serious than she remembers. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Watcha here for? She asks him casually. I want to take the graduation exam. You have good timing. Your age group is about to go through their own exam. If you can wait 2 weeks, you can take the test with them. I can. Naruto replied simply. Good, Tsunade smiled. I need you to wait, while my assistants get the paperwork ready. You will need to attend the last few weeks, but I probably won't be able to get you in time if you sign up any later. Are you sure you still want to go through with it? I am sure. I do not want to wait any longer than I need to. Alright then. Take a seat in the waiting room. Shizen will be there as soon as she can to help you fill in the forms. Soon being 10 minutes later, and yet it still felt like forever. Uzumaki Naruto? Shizen calls. Naruto stood up and approached her, glad the eternity of waiting was fading away. Sorry to keep you waiting, Shizen gives a sheepish smile. It's been pretty intense with the genin exams coming up. There are quite a few clan heirs in this class, so we need to run things by their parents a bit more than usual. Just put down your details here so we can put you into the academy system. You don't need to do anything besides get your photo taken if you graduate, and it stays that way right up until you get chosen for promotion. What is this section meant to be? Naruto asked politely, eyeing the word stipend mission credit. Oh, this means that people who aren't supported by their families will still receive a stipend from the village until they are qualified to start taking on more missions and support themselves. That was good news, Naruto thought. He hadn't saved a dime since Tsukimi-bachan died and he was put into a crummy little apartment. All of the money he got went into making sure he had the food and tools to train and recover. He would repay the village with the results of his training, of that he was sure. He was currently dirt poor. Naruto signs all he needs to, determination still burning in his heart. I'll make you proud, old man. Good morning, Naruto-kun. Naruto turned from his door after locking up to see his neighbor Shizen greeting him, looking chipper. Yo, Shizen. Naruto replies casually. Good morning, Naru and I. A chipper, tiny voice piped up. Huh? Naruto looked around obliviously. I heard a voice but I don't see anyone. Who could that have been? Naru and I. The little voice whined before Naruto was forced to fend off a vicious attack of the hug around the legs until he falls over variety. Minako-chan? Is that you? When did you get here? Naruto manages to pry her arms from him and pick up the bouncy 4-year-old. I've been here forever. Minako wraps her arms around his neck instead and snuggles in, squishing Naruto's long spikes down. Naruto gives a dry look to Shizen, who only giggles. Minako-chan found out that her Naru and I was graduating today, so she just had to wish him good luck. She did? Naruto looked down at the excited girl, silver hair bobbing around when she gave him rapid nods to confirm her mother's statement. Oh. Naruto teases, making the girl blush and bury her head into his shoulder again. From behind Shizen, a male voice makes itself known. Yo, Naruto. Naruto nods at him. Kakashi. The old bat gave you both today off? Hokage-sama gave us both today off, yes. Shizen corrects and affirms in exasperation, and Kakashi gives a signature eye smile. And Kakashi can't go on missions right now anyway. Why? Naruto turns to Kakashi. Injured? Pregnant? Mama, Kakashi deflects lazily, but there was a smile in his voice. Hokage-sama has deemed it necessary to burden me with some genin candidates this year. Shame. I hope I don't get put on your team. You've been here 20 seconds, and I'm already sick of your face. I agree. It's insulting to put up with the presence of those who are significantly less skilled than you. Shizen bonked them both on the head lightly when she practically saw sparks fly between their eyes, leading to Minako giggling. No more prank wars. She orders with her tuned mother voice. She switches to her kindly self again. But since we have today off, we thought we'd come by the academy and scout out the students during their test. Kakashi will get to see who he might get and Minako gets to watch her Oni-chan. In that case I'd better not disappoint. Naruto pokes Minako in the side, eliciting a squawk. We better be on our way. You don't want to be late for your own graduation. Shizen frets over him. Naruto is fond of his neighbors. Shizen had been one of the people to teach him how to live on his own. Things like cooking and cleaning were practically beaten into his head, and she always encouraged him to keep his home in order. Kakashi was someone he thought highly of too. His mannerisms were more calm and helped him understand the behavior of men a little more, plus playing rough with him while he was younger was a nice change from the women who rarely wanted to do so. It helped him understand how rough was too rough, that it wasn't fun for anyone anymore, and was a valuable tool when he was still in close contact with other orphans a while after Tsukimi-chan passed away. Fighting was one thing, but playing rough was something different when you wanted to make friends or interact with little fragile people like Minako. Plus, he couldn't go everywhere being stinky and unclean. Kakashi told him it would be a good idea to groom and recently taught him how to shave. I'm sure it will be fine. Naruto is dismissive but does lead on to the academy, Minako climbing onto his shoulders unassisted. Giddy up! Mush! Minako orders imperiously. Yes, Minako-heim. Some of you are here to make your family proud, and some of you are here because you have something to prove. But today, you're here to let yourselves and all of Konoha know that you are worthy of serving beside the finest shinobi in the world. Tsunade finished her speech and the teachers clapped, followed by students and parents. She steps down from the podium and Naruto admires the bounce to her chest with every foot down. He hoped no one noticed him ogling the Hokage. He looks at Kakashi, who is smirking at him while clapping. Damn. There is about half an hour of mingling while the sum of the teachers set up the outdoor tests. Open field shurikenjutsu ranges are set up as well as a large taijutsu ring. Most of the students head in to chat to each other instead of put up with their embarrassing parents. Naruto is watching it all and basking in the sun rather than head in just yet, and Tsunade decides to approach him. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do today, Naruto. I hope my decision to let you study and train on your own was a good one. Naruto carefully looks her in the eyes and not an inch down. He didn't want to get caught by the subject of his indecent observation. You won't be disappointed. I'm stronger than anyone else in my class. Of that he had no doubt. Teachers included. Then your confidence won't be unearned then. Tsunade smiles at his bravado. She turns to face Kakashi and Shizen, who had just finished talking with some civilian parents. Her smile becomes almost motherly at the sight of Shizen holding the squirming child. She turns her attention to them, and Naruto heads into the academy. Tsunade-sama. Kakashi and Shizen greet in unison, giving a respectful half-bow. I see you decided to see who you'd be sending back to the academy this year. Perhaps I'll be unfortunate enough to have a good batch instead. Kakashi jokes back dryly and Shizen pinches him for it. Tsunade smiles, though her attention is still drawn to their child. And here's a little munchkin. Tsunade leans in as preparation to issue the cute child with affection, wanted or otherwise. Minako snuggles into Shizen, hiding her face momentarily. Shizen tries to coax her out to say hello. Mina-chan, Tsunade-sama is talking to you. What do you say when someone says hi? A small, cold shiver works down Kakashi's spine. Kakashi looks up slowly to the small stairwell Naruto paused on before he stepped into the academy. The boy wore a smile. One of nightmares. One of pure evil. He turns back around and walks through the door. The Jonin's stomach dropped, and he turns slowly to his daughter. Her face peeks out after watching Naruto look back at her, and seemingly received a transmission of confidence from him. Tsunade Ba-chan. Minako chirps up at her. Kakashi's heart stopped. Shizen's jaw dropped. Every other parent and family member in the courtyard is looking at them now. That little BAS dash. Aren't you adorable? Tsunade-sama gushes and scoops Minako into her arms. Simultaneously, every person in hearing range gave the same reaction. My mom was getting clan stuff done yesterday at Hokage-sama's office. And guess what? What is it, Ino-chan? The little voice could be mistaken for a whisper. You know that Naruto guy? The tall one who's never here? He gets to sit the Genin exam. He got to skip academy while we all had to suffer doing this boring junk. Ino throws her hands up in the air, clearly frustrated. Naruto-san had been coming to the academy for the last 2 weeks, and while there was no chance that he would get Rookie of the Year by any means given his attendance record, some of the boys were frustrated that someone who was away so often was effortlessly defeating them in taijutsu spars and class activities. Even Sasuke-san couldn't hit Naruto, but at least the former never complained openly, and came back at Naruto with more zeal every time. Oh. Little voice responds, unsure if she was meant to be feeling indignant at the truancy of someone she didn't know very well. I don't think that Naruto-san needs instruction. You're so lucky, Hinata. Ino interrupts and slumps back into her seat in a mood flip, face sitting atop her forearms with an overdramatic frown. You're probably gonna get Shino or her mood flips again to dreamy. Sasuke-kun. Hinata is overwhelmed. She doesn't want Ino's oppressive personality to make her more skittish than she already was. Father already probably considered her a lost cause as it was, and she didn't want to disappoint him further, she thought morosely. Ino still has more to say. Annoyingly, meanwhile, I'm gonna get stuck with that lazy bones Shikamaru and too busy eating to win Choji. This sucks. Maybe they realize that you're as hopeless as they are. Ino's head snaps around to the smirking pinkhead across the room. If looks could kill, there'd be one less Genin aspirant today. Hinata practically shrinks, frozen on the spot. She knows that a fight is on the cusp of breaking out. As if summoned by the ghost of school fights past, Iruka-sensei waltzed into the room as if there wasn't the next shinobi war about to start in it. Good morning. Everyone take your seats. He goes ignored. The yapping refuses to stop. Students, take your seats. His voice is not as chipper. The volume goes up. Hinata covers her ears. Sit down and shut up. Silence. Blissful silence. Hinata sighs in relief. Back to your seats. Iruka glances over the students suspiciously before his expression evens out. Don't make your last day here a bad one. You still need to pass this test, so I want all of you to act as befitting a shinobi. Professional. Do you understand? Yes, Iruka-sensei. The droning chorus confirms. The door opens immediately after, and Hinata recognizes the tall boy who walks in as Naruto. The mostly truant student. You're late. Iruka-sensei seems resigned. He has probably tried and failed many times to get Naruto to show up on time. The test has started? Naruto asks, his voice a smooth and pleasant rumble. Iruka-sensei shakes his head. Just take a seat, Naruto. Clearly not making a fuss about it, he probably didn't think it was worth it in the end. Naruto walks up the steps to the open spot next to her and naturally, there are spiteful boys sticking their feet out to trip him. He steps over them easily and without looking silly. He takes a seat next to her and crosses his arms over his chest. His muscular chest. She hopes he didn't notice her eyeing him up. He looks at her, and she sees his visible eye wink at her. Damn. Thankfully, Mizuki-sensei is already passing out the written tests, and she isn't afforded the opportunity to blush at being caught. You will each have 1 hour to complete your test as well as you can. If you are caught cheating in any way, shape or form, you will be disqualified immediately. Hinata nearly gulps at the size of the test. Every page was completely filled out with questions. She takes a look at the boy sitting next to her, and sees that he is unconcerned as he writes his name down. She wishes she could have his confidence. No! She sucks her lips in nervously. I have to do my best. Be like Naruto. She looks at the questions on the first page again. It would be a long hour. Half of the students don't even finish the exam. They'd still have the opportunity to catch up in the practical tests, but it seemed that the only people that would be getting decent written marks would be Naruto and Sasuke, who finished by a significant margin, as well as some of the other clan children. Plus Sakura. Iruka and Mizuki collect the papers, and Suzume-sensei, who is usually delegated to kunoichi and espionage training, is the one who gets the grueling task of marking all of the tests. All of the students are led out to the training field, and the parents who had been mingling or taken their other children away to play had returned and were ready to watch the last stages of graduation. I don't recognize the tall one. Did he fail last year? Nara Yoshino asks, standing in a group with her fellow Ino-Shikucho matrons and other mothers. Shizen huffs at the rude question, and Kakashi nearly rolls his eye. Ma, that's Uzumaki Naruto. Tsunade-sama gave him special permissions to train on his own since students aren't allowed to graduate early anymore. Kakashi answers instead. He must be very skilled then. Yoshino replies with a somewhat dubious tone. Kakashi smiles and replies, preventing Shizen from saying something. I'm sure we'll get to see shortly. He claps politely on seeing a civilian student get an above-average score, along with the rest of the parents, and they do. Once Sasuke displayed his own impressive shuriken jutsu, Naruto was quick to match his perfect score shortly after. Go Naru and I! Minako cheers joyfully. There was a smatter of laughter, and another round of polite applause. Next up is ninjutsu. Iruka leads the students to a more open area, and the parents shuffle along the boundary of the children so they could all watch clearly. The students come forward in the same order they were called previously, and Shizen has something to say about one particular candidate. She has remarkable control for someone so young. She comments admirably. Haruna was it. She could make a medic mean if she trains some more. A pair of civilians beam at the praise of the daughter. Uchiha Sasuke, squeals echo from nearly every young girl, and Kakashi openly rolls his eye this time. Sasuke makes 2 perfect clones, performs an unusually fast substitution, and follows with an impressive transformation into Iruka. Not bad. Kakashi gives his own comment. The kid was pretty good at the jutsu provided by the academy at least. It was hard not to see the prodigy that was Uchiha Itachi in him, even though he knew it wasn't fair. Kakashi wondered what kind of potential he had, and how far he could have come under the guidance of people who could teach him better than what he was currently receiving. Kakashi doubted anyone besides Sasuke's own family could have taught him to use his gifts. Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto steps forward, ignoring the jeers from his male peers. Bunshin no Jutsu. As Kakashi expected, Naruto provides 2 perfect clones of himself. Kawarimi no Jutsu. Also as expected, Naruto casts his jutsu at the same speed as Sasuke. There is a foreboding pause before Naruto uses his next jutsu. Henge. Kakashi's eye nearly pops out its socket. Ah! An erotic moan cuts through the silence. Wherever did my clothes go? A stunning, young woman with silky black hair that reached her ankles revealed herself, and wisps of smoke are the only protection of her modesty there is. Nosebleeds and blushes erupt all around the crowd. Nice Naruto! Kakashi hollers his praise, giving an inspirational thumbs up before he and every other man in his situation are promptly put in their places by furious spouses. Uzumaki Naruto. Shizen's voice was like death calling, sending shivers down the transformed boy's spine. Iruka plugs his nostrils with his fingers. You idiot! Don't use perverse jutsu like this. I should have known. Tsunade, who had been mostly silent thus far, slaps her forehead in exasperation. Of course a young boy left to play with jutsu on his own would do something ridiculous like this. The crowd calms down, and Naruto dispels the transformation, although glares from every female including the Hokage are enough to keep him behaved for the moment. He transforms into Iruka flawlessly, and it is the concluding jutsu of the exams. Next is Taijutsu. I hope you've all got energy left for this one. Most of the fights are pathetic to say the least. Even a pair of the famed Inoshikacho trio children aren't happy to engage in a taijutsu spar. Shikamaru throws lazy, unenthused punches at Choji, and Choji barely deflects them at all. It could be suspected by any observer that they only put up the display at all was because their mothers were watching. Honestly, that boy. Yoshino gripes, and Choji's mother also gives an over-the-top sigh. The boys are rewarded with poor marks. Kiba and Shino provide a more interesting matchup, something their mother and father respectively seem happy about. Your boy is as gifted as you were with your clan's signature style. Aburama should be compliments after said boy defeats Shino. He's got the vigor for it. Some agrees with a proud smirk. But he really needs to learn not to just throw himself around like that. The Minyu nearly took it from him with that blind spot attack in the middle. Goes to show brains matters just as much, huh? Shibi nods in agreement, silently impressed that his son had the will to fight even knowing he was outmatched. Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto. Step forward please. Both students form the seal of confrontation before moving into more comfortable positions. Kakashi observes Naruto and Sasuke through the ear-rattling noise generated by fangirls, and sees that Sasuke looks quite pumped up. Naruto too takes on a more serious demeanor. He hadn't actually seen Naruto use shinobi techniques before. Their relationship was more akin to uncle and nephew than teacher and student. For him it was quite bizarre to see him take an unrecognizable taijutsu stance, and look more akin to a seasoned warrior instead of the teasing big brother and semi-prankster that stayed up far past his bedtime. He knew that the Naruto knew wasn't just a mask, there was real joviality in him, but he couldn't help but wonder how much Naruto was hiding if he could display such technique with seemingly no influence from the shinobi forces. Are you both ready? Mizuki is proctoring this time, raising his arm into the air. Naruto and Sasuke nod. Hajime. Sasuke rushes Naruto with impressive speed and tries to kick Naruto's legs while throwing the first punch. Naruto strafes instead of moving backwards and sweeps Sasuke's legs from the side. Mid-fall, Sasuke spins and flings an axe kick quickly enough that Naruto catches it with his hand. Naruto isn't content to let Sasuke control the fight and throws a punch with his free hand that collides with Sasuke's chest and knocks the wind out of him. Sasuke blocks the follow-up strike and tries to disrupt Naruto's footing by swinging over his head. Naruto lets go of the foot he's clinging to instead of falling for it, and springs into a kick at his opponent's stomach, sending him tumbling away. The Uchiha boy rights himself immediately and is forced to defend from the larger and faster Naruto, who has decided to take the lead. Rather than try to block, he deflects and again tries gaining the advantage by controlling Naruto's footwork. The other boy is quick meet every retaliation kick with steady leg blocks. This is not two students fighting. Kakashi is floored by the speed and skill. This isn't even two genin fighting. Sasuke strafes and dips low. He goes for a strong kick to get Naruto in the air, but it doesn't work on the faster boy. Naruto reeled back instead of blocking and attacks as Sasuke reaches full extension. Sasuke does a push-up and thrusts another kick too, which is pushed away roughly enough to flip him and expose his chest. A powerful kick is the greeting for it, sending Sasuke rolling across the ground again. The academy teacher seems content to merely watch on as the spar gets rougher. Naruto has yet to take a hit, but Sasuke still seems to have energy despite the strong blows. "You've gotten stronger, Sasuke." Naruto grins, looking quite pleased, and the seriousness bleeds away. "Come at me. Let's dance some more." Sasuke throws himself into a high-speed flurry and kicks, punches and deflections. Naruto's hair billows as the pace of the fight continues to climb, and he answers every strike faster and stronger than Sasuke can match. Sasuke's face gets red from exertion and Naruto is happy as escalate. The shorter boy's form begins to deteriorate but keeps up his vicious assault with cry of adrenaline-fueled vigor. "Unreal." Some utters beside them. She is as stunned as he is. Those boys aren't anything to scoff at. Kakashi mostly ignores it, his eye is wide as he notices one thing that he doubted the others had yet. Sasuke's steam was running low, but he seemed to be reacting better than before. His moves are more efficient despite being tired and is doing better at defending from Naruto's blows than before. He is too tired out to attack effectively, but his movement was more fluid. He immediately realized what had happened when the glint of Sasuke's eyes was revealed. This spar has gone on too long. Shibi disapproves, probably having caught on as well. It is unusual that this is allowed to continue. Kakashi silently agreed with the assessment. It had escalated too far if it could incite a change of that magnitude in Sasuke. It could be the emotional frustration at losing or being pushed harder than he had ever before. But there would be people pleased with this development. The instructor Mizuki seemingly comes to his senses once everyone else has caught on to the change, and calls out the result. "This spar is over. Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke receive full marks." Sasuke slumps instantly, having been drained of all his stamina. Cheers erupt at the display of taijutsu prowess. Unsurprisingly, no one had expected to see that when they came here today. Naruto walks over to Sasuke while the girls crowd around the fallen boy. He at least gets a clear view of Sasuke's face. "I guess I should congratulate you, Sasuke." The panting boy manages to get a look at Naruto through the fangirls blotting out the sun around him. Naruto pays no heed and sticks out two fingers. The start of the sign of reconciliation. Sasuke takes them in his own without thinking, and is pulled to his feet. Along with two helpful females, Naruto pulls out a kunai slowly and angles it squarely for Sasuke. The boy looks at the reflection of his eyes in stunned disbelief before he collapses again. "Oh no! Sasuke-kun!" Most of the attending adults exchange their own looks of disbelief. Much time is wasted as they discuss the happenings of the fight, and the noise level steadily increases. Iruka is quick to rush over with a bottle of water. "Drink it slow, Sasuke-kun. We don't want you throwing it back up again." Sasuke nods placidly, the most cooperative he'd ever been for Iruka. Said teacher looked over at Mizuki with a questioning look, clearly wondering if the other instructor was up to something but decided to leave it for later. Shizen naturally head over as well and bullies the young girls out of the way, using a diagnosis jutsu on Sasuke's forehead. He's perfectly fine, just physically exhausted and a bit battered. Her hands start to glow as she transferred a small amount of chakra into him, and provided some first aid to his developing bruises. A younger voice has even more to say. "That was amazing, Oni-chan. You were all like Fwa. And he was like Blue." And then, Iruka and Mizuki quickly tally up the results of the practical exams along with Suzume, who brought out her own. A couple of genin who had been tasked with helping out the academy today were the ones to set up a display table with fresh, brand new Konoha headbands. The blue fabric didn't have so much as a speck of dust. Generally, exam results were kept private, but seeing as a considerable amount of clan children would be participating in the graduation, it was decided that a spectacle would be made out of it to help provide motivation to students who didn't pass, and show parents who weren't as keen on the shinobi business as clan parents were what was required of their kids to help guide them better. Students who didn't pass the exam would be held back and provided a same-day retest, and if they failed their second attempt they'd be brought in with their guardian to determine if they were to stay another few months to get them in fighting shape or have them drop out entirely and pursue conventional civilian education. Never let it be said that Konoha doesn't give ample opportunity for growth in its walls, although today's display may have the opposite of the intended effect. Seeing a pair of boys outclass them in such a way might dampen one's motivation and stop them from being shinobi at all. The aggressive and unnecessarily violent spar was eye-opening for some, but seeing as it was the last spar of the day, hopefully the graduates would be encouraged to work harder. Or at least have their parents make them work harder. Uchiha Sasuke, step forward please. The exhausted Uchiha stand to attention in front of Iruka. Today you have proven to yourself and Konoha that you will be an excellent and worthy addition to our shinobi. You receive the title of Rookie of the Year for your dedication. Congratulations on becoming a genin. Claps sound all around and enthusiastic cheers come from a cooing squad of girls. Hooray for Sasuke-kun! Ino and Sakura shout in unison before glaring at each other. Sasuke ties the forehead protector around his head and takes his seat again quietly. This time, he is right beside Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto. Step forward please. Said boy stands and his spot on the ground is taken instantly by a dog pile of frothing fangirls. Naruto. Iruka starts with a smile. I'll admit that I didn't expect what we got out of you today, but I see that Tsunade-sama's intuition has proven right again. Wear this with pride, and welcome to the forces. I know you'll make a fine Konoha shinobi. Thank you? Naruto answers politely and ties up his own forehead protector. Thankfully for him there is plenty of free space this time. There is applause for him as well. That concludes your graduation. I am honored to have taught such fine young shinobi. Iruka is soft-hearted, and can't help the wide and proud smile. You've only got 1 day left, I swear. Come back tomorrow morning for your assignment to your genin squad. Naruto is accosted by the people he arrived with. My goodness. When were you going to tell us you could do that? I wasn't. Naruto replies honestly, adjusting his headband to try and get a good fit. Didn't think that it mattered. Well, Shizen huffed, holding her sleeping daughter and being careful not to raise her voice too much. Iruka-sensei wasn't lying. You're going to make an excellent shinobi if you keep that performance up. It's kinda weird that Mizuki-sensei had it go on for so long though, but it's cool that Sasuke got the Sharingan. Naruto ponders thoughtfully. Indeed it was. Kakashi smiles, but his thoughts are also along the lines that the spar was allowed to continue. Well, time for my celebratory ramen. Naruto puts his hands behind his head and meanders in the direction of Ichiraku's. Ma, why don't you wait a second? I'll treat you. Kakashi halts him and Naruto looks at him questioningly. Kakashi looks at Sasuke as he sees the boy watch Minako climb onto Naruto's shoulders again. Great work, kiddo. Kakashi smiles at him. I was impressed. You should probably get used to fighting on ground level though. Being floaty is normal for some people, but you can see how Naruto controlled the fight, right? He kept you on the ground because he knew you'd be less effective. I think you've got potential though. Wow, Shizen utters in amazement. You must have really left an impression if my quiet little mouse of a husband said something. Thanks. Sasuke says only, not really sure what else to say when a legendary shinobi like Hatake Kakashi gives him a taijutsu tip. Kakashi eye smiles again and leads their little group away. Sasuke watches enviously for a moment before he leaves as well. So Kakashi, why don't you tell me why you want Naruto and Sasuke? Kakashi nearly snorted, seeing as every other instructor had wanted at least one of them. The Jonin who were to become instructors were lined up in the late afternoon to discuss last-minute changes that may need to be made. They're good for each other from what I've seen. Naruto is clearly gifted and Sasuke lacks a rival that can compete with him. Naruto would be that and more. According to this, Kakashi gestures to the academy profile of Sasuke. He has trouble interacting with his peers, but I didn't see that kind of behavior even after Naruto thrashed him. As far as I can tell, Naruto is outright encouraging Sasuke to get stronger instead of dragging him down, and Sasuke responds well to it. This might even help get him to defer to Naruto, which might be a stepping stone in having him interact with other people too and build bonds with his fellow shinobi. Kakashi paused before continuing, and he awoke the Sharingan today. Something that I at the very least have more knowledge on than others right now. Tsunade looked to be considering it, and I want Sakura too. For obvious reasons. He tacked on, no doubt having been on the receiving end of an earful by his wife. Alright. Seeing as you're the only sensei here who gave me a good reason instead of just wanting a prodigy that could learn on their own and do less work teaching, you're approved. Other teams will be as follows. Team 8 will be Inuzuka, Hyuga and Abirame under Yuhi Kurinai. Team 10 will be Yamanaka, Nara and Akimichi. The list goes on until all the candidates are on teams. Alright, that concludes this meeting. Tsunade slaps the team list down on top of a messy pile of papers. Everyone except Kakashi, Kurinai and Asuma out now please. Once the room is mostly cleared, Tsunade starts again. Kakashi, I think you're aware that what happened today at the academy is not normal. She starts looking at him. I sent an ANBU to monitor the academy instructor Mizuki, but I've yet to hear back from them. Kakashi, brief them and investigate Mizuki, then report anything you find back to me. Hi, Hokage-sama. 3 Jonin chorused. The cooling body of an ANBU lay dead at the feet of 2 men. One's hand is lit with hissing medical chakra. He awoke the Sharingan, you say? Well done, Mizuki. I live to serve Orochimaru-sama. The proud instructor replies. Indeed? It's a shame that your little plan drew the eyes of some very important people. You might have had better use alive if it hadn't. The hissing blue jutsu was the last thing he saw before receiving a painless death via chakra scalpel. A shame indeed. Round glasses glint in the dark. Naruto readied himself through his morning routine, going through his breakfast and hygiene ritual before changing into the shinobi, where he'd managed to save up enough to afford from babysitting and hanging on to change from the stipend he received from Konoha to see him by until he joined the shinobi forces. The glint of the sun as minor through his windows, and he could tell it was going to be a good day for whatever his next step in shinobi life had in store for him. Privately admitting that maybe he was a little nervous, he'd never worked in a team before, and Kakashi was a person of legendary senses and skill. He'd have to try harder to hide what he wanted to keep secret for now. Uncomfortable questions would rise if he revealed any suspect abilities. He wanted to do so on his own terms in a situation that he could control. He wanted to create an echo that would scream across Konoha and say, "Don't mess with me." There were still ways he could honor his heritage without being too overt about it. The Uchiha clan wasn't the only clan he hailed from, and the Uzumaki clan symbol was an iconic piece of design that was used in all modern Konoha uniforms and forehead protectors. It wouldn't be out of place or suspicious of him to be wearing the sign of Uzushio and Konoha's friendship. He threw on a new black long-sleeved shirt, customized for a low price to have the Uzumaki swirl on the back. He figured that if he wasn't going to represent the Uchiha yet, he'd try and make his departed mother proud. He had black sandals to match and a gray pants with the shins wrapped up. He tied up his new blue forehead protector last, and thankfully it didn't alter the style at which he wore his hair. It still parted to cover his right eye, and the rest at the back was only just long enough to reach the red swirl on the back of his shirt. Naruto tidied up and finishes his dishes before grabbing his tool pouch and securing it to his belt. He opens the door, is greeted by the morning sun, still casting shadows in the street of apartments. His senses told him that Kakashi was still in next door, and that his chakra was still and unwound, likely meaning that he was still asleep. He pitied the team that got him as their sensei. The Uzumaki boy begins a slow trek back to the academy, and decides to practice his sensing on the way. He could accurately determine the number of people nearby, the levels of chakra they had, the rhythm of their chakra to determine if they were resting or under genjutsu, and how strong their chakra was, which he could to some degree sense what chakra nature they possessed. But as with all things, there was room for improvement. One of Madara's lessons was, how do you take what you know to the next level? It was all well and good being gifted with abilities, but what good were they if they could not be taken to a degree that made them functionally better, as in the case of his mind's eye of the Kagura sensing ability. It was said to be an extraordinary and multi-purpose sensing technique, and yet Naruto could barely sense 20 meters down the street before everything got fuzzy and inaccurate to him. He admitted to neglecting his training in that regard and resolved to do better with himself. He couldn't always make excuses by only training the things he found most interesting and got the best results from doing. Even though it was boring, Naruto thought about a phrase that got passed around a lot when in the orphanage. Nothing worth having comes easy. He immediately bumps into someone when he closes his eyes for a moment to focus. Trying to see without your eyes was quite the challenge. "Pardon me," Naruto says to the back of the woman he knocked slightly. "It's fine," the woman replies, her voice having a distinct maturity to it. "But you should probably walk with your eyes open, The risk of embarrassing myself helps me improve my sensory abilities." Naruto gives his poor excuse and hopes it's enough to deflect if she's actually upset about it. She cracks a smile, and Naruto counts it as a victory. "A censor, huh?" The man with her speaks up, sounding surprised as he plucks a cigarette from his mouth. "Sounds like your sensei got lucky. I'm Kurenai, and this is Asuma," the beautiful woman introduces. "We're on our way to the academy to pick up our new teams. I think Asuma is bitter that he didn't get you." "I am not," Asuma protests, though he seems amused. "And I don't think there was a chance anyway. I get the Ino Shikicho trio, as is tradition. Most of the teams were made up before the graduation anyway, but things had to be discussed to account for dropouts and latecomers." Kurenai reveals, apparently not seeing any need to be secretive with the information. "She's bitter that she didn't get you either." Asuma clearly fibs. "Ignore him," Kurenai says even as she elbows him in the ribs. "Don't tell me that I got Kakashi then?" Naruto surmises that there aren't many options left. He wasn't ignorant to the fact that as someone who was relatively high profile in the way of genes and thus far displayed performance, someone like him wasn't going to get an improving sensei who lacked the knowledge to help him reach his potential. The higher-ups didn't know that Naruto knew of his heritage, but if he could turn out even half as strong as his father who was the Hokage, then clearly it would be a good investment to give him a talented and powerful teacher. The way Kurenai and Asuma exchange amused glances gives it away. Naruto sighs but doesn't complain. Even a tardy teacher can be a good one. "Well, sorry for bumping into you, but I should set an example to my sensei by showing up on time." Naruto excuses himself, leaving the pair of jonin to chuckle at his back. The sensei exchanged a look. "Did you feel his chakra?" Asuma asked lowly. He was no sensor, but being close enough to anyone using a jutsu could give off the feel of their inner power. "Yes, it's insane. He has to have nearly as much chakra as Kakashi, and nearly as strong too. Is that even naturally possible? He's 12, his mother was the same." Asuma comments, idly recalling the story of how only a member of a certain clan could have chakra potent enough to suppress the strongest of all the Bijuu. His father was no slouch in that department either. "I don't think Kakashi has come close to that level, and he's older now than Yandame-sama was when he passed." Still, Kurenai thought on how dangerous that kind of potential could be in the hands of an enemy manipulator. Kakashi really is the only choice to teach him. Yeah. Asuma agrees, taking a drag of his cigarette. If he were younger, he'd try to bluster and reason that he could be the teacher of someone like that. But Hatake Kakashi was on a different level. Elite among elites, and seemingly only better now that his mental state had evened out. Kakashi was the only person who could teach and protect a unit of prodigies while they were developing. Regardless of what anyone wanted, Naruto could only be taught by Kakashi. Naruto doesn't savor the glares from both the girls and boys as he steps into the classroom. There are a scant few people who aren't annoyed with his presence, included among them was Sasuke himself. He could sense the change in Sasuke's chakra that the awakening of the Sharingan had triggered, but it seemed he'd recovered well enough from Shizen's tending to his injuries. It's annoying that he has to put up with looks like that. What had he done wrong, really? Beat up another student who was perfectly happy to fight him. The boys he could understand. He knew that it sucked feeling like you're second best or being outshined in every way. He wasn't angry with those looks, because he knew the ones with strong will would use that as motivation to grow, while the weak would complain about how unfair it was. There were several among them that just didn't care and would do things at their own pace. He could see reason in that, at least, even if he couldn't see himself doing the same. Sasuke hadn't been holding back, and Naruto saw opportunity there. The other boy wasn't afraid to use his strength. Naruto felt like he could use someone like that as a sounding board for taijutsu practice. If he could convince Sasuke to spar with him regularly, then it would be like having an ideal training partner. Both of them could learn to combat each other when the other threw something new at them. The fangirls didn't understand that it was a good thing for Sasuke to meet someone who wasn't willing to just let himself get knocked over, but he supposed the blame wasn't solely on their shoulders. They were only kids, and kids didn't think like adults or people who are obsessed with strength. Maybe it was in the nature of those descended from the sage to be obsessive. Whether it be power or love, no one had accused Uchiha, Senju or Uzumaki of being entirely sane. Smart, but not normal. He takes a seat next to Sasuke, which is miraculously empty. Most likely case being that the two boldest declarers of Sasuke's affections, Ino and Sakura, were comparatively more aggressive and competitive to get his attention, and it probably didn't end well for any other female that took up seat next to him. The males didn't seem to be friends with Sasuke, and it was easier to talk to your friends in class when you were right next to them. Yo. Sorry for the beat down yesterday, but I'm not going easy on you if we get on the same team. Naruto delivers a lackadaisical and frankly not sorry apology. HN. Is Sasuke's opener. It's fine. It worked out in the end. Ho? Are you talking about your Kekkei? Naruto tries to bait Sasuke into communicating with him more. Sasuke looks at Naruto and activates his Sharingan. Naruto doesn't flinch, the juvenile state of his eyes posed no threat to him. There was a single tomo in each. It seems to startle a few of the students. Yes. I learned from you, as well. Don't think that our next spar will be the same. Sasuke deactivates his eyes after seemingly assessing Naruto's chakra network. I should hope not. It's hard to grow stronger when you fight weaker people, Naruto said, though his eyes cast over to one of the boys on the other end of the room. Not that weak people aren't capable of extraordinary things. I hear that the Nara clan is full of strategists who wield a unique and useful jutsu, I suppose. Sasuke said only. He probably didn't understand the value of people like that yet. Did Hatake Kakashi train you? The question is a little awkward, but given that this is the most he'd heard Sasuke speak, it was probably a good sign he was even being spoken to. Nah, he's my neighbor. He pays me to babysit sometimes, but that's about it. Naruto doesn't mention what he thinks of Kakashi. It wasn't really anyone's business if he liked or disliked someone. Their conversation was halted by the noisy entrance of Sakura and Ino. My toe was in the door first. I win. I sit next to Sasuke-kun, like hell forehead girl. Stomping up the steps to where Sasuke was usually seated, their violent tendencies are halted by the sight of Naruto in the chair they both wanted. Sorry, ladies. Sasuke-kun is mine now. Naruto smiles as mockingly as he could manage. He fell deeply in love with my Oroku no Jutsu and requested that I sit next to him for his last class. HN. Sasuke visibly cringes at Naruto's words, making said boy smile wider. You can sit next to him this once. Ino's words are spat out contemptuously, but her eyes show fear at the thought of making Naruto angry. Sakura glares at him too, but neither girl offer anything more than dirty looks after the display during graduation. Naruto doesn't miss the near-silent sigh of relief from Sasuke. It seemed Naruto was his savior. Iruka walks into the room and prevents the awkward glare-down about to start between the two outspoken girls. Alright, I think I've kept you all waiting long enough. Iruka begins to call out the team list. Team 3 will be civilians. And it remains civilian students until he gets to Naruto's team. Some teams were still in rotation, so a few were skipped. Team 7. Uchiha Sasuke. Harino Sakura. Yes, no, ahem. And Uzumaki Naruto. Your sensei will be Hatake Kakashi. Naruto listens to the rest of the listings. Classic Ino Shikacho, a recon tracking squad, and some other teams likely thrown together based on teamwork capacity rather than skill sets. Slowly but surely, each sensei comes to pick up their teams, and Naruto knows that Team 7 has the misfortune of having to wait for Kakashi, who he knows is still asleep. This sucks, he says, mostly to himself. You said he's your neighbor. Can't we just go get him? Sasuke suggests. That's probably not a good idea. Kakashi is normally an early riser, so he must have been kept up late for an emergency or something. And I don't really want to get accused of stalking our sensei. Naruto thought it would be a bit too rude to go knocking on Kakashi's door. In any case, nobody said we couldn't utilize this time. I think I'll practice my sensory jutsu. Sakura looked unsure, and eventually bored, as all she could do was go over the old textbooks on the shelves. Poor kids, Asuma said pityingly, parting ways with Kurenai after collecting their teams together. Kakashi dismissed them both shortly after finding not just the body of the suspicious academy instructor, but one of an ANBU as well. It was standard practice to dispose of ANBU corpses carefully, and the incident had occurred within Konoha's walls. An investigation like that was beyond his and Kurenai's pay grade, and the responsibility now rested in the hands of internal investigations. Sensei, his new female student whined. How come I get stuck with these two? I got some of the best marks in all our class. I should be one Sasuke-kun's team. Troublesome, is Shikamaru's bored reply. It won't be so bad with us, will it, Ino? Choji asked innocently. Ino falters a bit. The Ino Shikacho trio is a famous collaborative team of particular clans. Maybe your old man hasn't told you, but the teamwork of the last trio was legendary, just as the previous team was, and the one before that. Asuma's voice is stern. At least be happy that you're part of an effective combo and on a team with people that don't hate you. Most genin don't get that luxury. Shikamaru and Choji look up at Asuma now. Or you could be. If not for one small detail. What detail? Shikamaru asks/demands with narrowed eyes. Asuma smiled. You're not really genin yet. You still need to prove you're worth my time training you. What? Ino's voice explodes in fury. Your former classmates are a bit unlucky. Their sensei isn't going to be up for a while after how busy he was last night, and Naruto-kun doesn't like to waste his time. Hinata stammers out quietly. He won't sit still for long. Who cares what that asshole is doing? What are you gonna teach us, sensei? Kiba bursts out, clearly brimming with energy at the thought of training and finally doing something that wasn't schoolwork. Kurenai levels him with a red-eyed glare and makes Kiba flinch. Shino wisely remains silent. Don't be rude. You three are in for an unpleasant surprise if you think the academy was the hardest thing you're going to be doing as a shinobi. In fact, you're going to prove to me that my time is better spent teaching you than going on regular missions. I still have one last test for you, and if you fail, back to the academy for another year. Kurenai finished with a grim smile. The three genin look up at her in horror. Naruto wasn't brooding, he promised himself. He was just a tad frustrated at his sensei being late. 3 hours late. Yo. Kakashi finally deigns to greet his students from the door. Sorry I'm late, guys. A black cat crossed my path, so I had to go the long way. 3 equal deadpan looks. Kakashi coughed in the awkward silence. Anyway, let's have a nice chat on the roof. And walks out the classroom door. The 3 genin plod after him all the way up, and they eventually find themselves in a decorative little rooftop balcony, well shaded for students' lunchtime leisure. Introduce yourselves, Likes, dislikes, any dreams and hobbies? Why don't you go first, sensei? Sakura asks him shyly. He nods. Couldn't hurt, right? Well, I'm Hatake Kakashi. I have no desire to tell you my likes and dislikes. My dreams for the future. Kakashi trails off boredly. 3 expectant looks. As for my hobbies, I have lots of hobbies. Useless, weird old man. Just his name? Sasuke, Naruto's and Sakura's simultaneous thoughts. You first, Sakura-chan. He gives an eye smile at her dull look. My name is Haruno Sakura. I like a distant and dreamy look at Sasuke. I dislike Ino Pig. She develops a fiery look. My dreams include back to point 1. Oh brother, what an emotional spectrum. Kakashi, Naruto's and Sasuke's thoughts were all unexpressed outwardly, and remarkably similar inwardly. Well, Naruto starts off, shaking off his dry reaction. I'm Uzumaki Naruto. I like training and cute girls. Sakura growls and Naruto fights hard to keep the smile out of his voice. I dislike when people underestimate me. Dreams? I want to have a big family that I can be strong enough to protect. In the confines of Sakura's mind, an inner voice asks. And hobbies, well, I don't mind learning new things, I guess. Naruto finished lamely on realizing that his only real hobbies was training and winding people up. Kakashi nods. Many orphans express desire to have family. The teams he'd rejected before had many of the same answers in that regard. The devastating incident 12 years ago had left early scars on Konoha's youth. How about you, Sasuke-kun? Anything to share with the team? Uchiha Sasuke. I don't like or dislike much. My goal, I wish to restore my clan. His mood shifts slightly darker. And to kill a certain man. Scary, Sakura thought, gulping a little. She didn't know Sasuke-kun had such ambition. Naruto doesn't think anything in particular. He feels only a wave of understanding. Well, Kakashi claps his hands together, effectively breaking the uncomfortable silence. It's good that you all know each other now. I hope you continue to be friends after one of you goes back to the academy. What? Naruto voices the confusion he and his teammates are struck by. Kakashi jiggles 2 bells tied to a hoop on his pants. I don't really have the time or desire to train 3 needy students. We're going to have a little survival test, shall we say. You 3 are gonna try your best to get these bells from me, and the one of you who doesn't manage to get one, bad luck. Kakashi is entirely too jovial. Sakura jitters in place, obviously scared at the thought of competing with Sasuke-kun and Naruto. They won't hesitate to fight me for a bell. She thought in panic and looked at Naruto. I have to trick him. There's no way I can't be on Sasuke-kun's team. Meet me at training ground 7. Alright, you 3 have until sundown to get these 2 bells from me. Ready? Kakashi begins a markdown. All 3 gen intense. Set. Go! Sasuke and Sakura run into the bushes surrounding the grounds, but Naruto leaps into action immediately. He challenges Kakashi with vicious punches and kicks, all of which are blocked as easily as the Jonin breathed. Already? I thought I'd be able to get some reading in before you started. Kakashi complains as he flips Naruto over his head. The younger male is extremely aggressive and quick. Kakashi is even more impressed than he was the day before. Naruto's speed was nothing to flinch at, and his form and strength could rival other skilled taijutsu users in the village. Unfortunate that Kakashi was not a chunin, or even a normal jonin, because he blocks and meets Naruto's every blow evenly but doesn't push the offense, making it clear who is stronger between the two. Naruto lands deftly and pulls out 2 shuriken, throwing them just right of Kakashi's center, and attacks his left with kunai in hand. Kakashi catches the shuriken on a finger each without moving from his spot and throws them back immediately. Naruto deflects, catches one of the shuriken before it lands on the grass and flicks it at Kakashi's neck within a foot of it. Too slow. Kakashi is all too happy to tease. He grabs Naruto's kunai hand and uses his strength to pull Naruto forward and his kunai into the shuriken. It pings off the kunai before it lands and drops sadly onto the ground. With a strong grip on his arm, Naruto uses his legs to climb up Kakashi's torso as if rappelling up a cliff. With his spare hand he launches a wicked punch at the top of Kakashi's head while making a stomping motion with one foot aimed at his hip. Instead of catching it like Naruto predicted, Kakashi lets go of Naruto's arm, which causes him to float for a moment. The silver-haired man grabs Naruto's leg instead, whirls him around and tosses him into the bushes at high speed. Naruto doesn't leap out to challenge him again. Maybe Sasuke and Sakura will give a better challenge. How am I supposed to get a bell if Naruto can't even hit him? Sakura is on the cusp of a panic attack when Naruto lands roughly next to her. Ow, you're giving away my spot. Sakura hissed at him. Naruto scowled. At least I tried to get a bell. You just gonna lay here all day? At least I tried to see how much of a chance we have. I'll have a better chance than you if I wait for him to come to me. The tall boy considered the chance of capturing Kakashi by leading him into a trap, but saw a flaw immediately. We're the ones that need to get the bells. Not the other way around. We? Sakura's whisper is mocking. Already giving up and begging for my help? Naruto lips curl into an annoyed sneer. We'd have a better chance against a damn jonin, and I don't want to go back to the academy, do you? Sakura made her own consideration. If she could get both bells, she could just give one to Sasuke instead of Naruto. Fine. We'll try once. Sakura looks trepidatious as she readies to get to her feet, but Naruto pulls her back to the ground. What now? Naruto nods forwards through the bushes. Look! Sasuke's going for the bells. Let's watch and make a plan before we strike. They watch as Sasuke throws a kunai from Kakashi's other side. The kunai cuts through a rope and sends multiple more kunai from a spring wire trap out of the trees. Guess he wasn't idly watching. Naruto approved, spotting Sasuke's Sharingan, which probably helped the precision of the throw. Sharingan out already? Kakashi calls him out on it too. Sasuke doesn't wait for Kakashi to dodge the kunai before engaging him in taijutsu. His attempt isn't as fast or spectacular as Naruto's, but he seemingly maneuvers Kakashi into standing still for a second. He weaves hand signs before Kakashi turns around. Katon, Gokaku no Jutsu, a genin using a Katon Jutsu? Kakashi could feel the impressive chakra emit. Sasuke watched as he cooked the jonin, but his wishful thinking is deflated by a puff of smoke, showing the Kawarimi no Jutsu. He is immediately thrown around like Naruto was and goes back into hiding. Kakashi is almost surprised when a storm of shuriken are flung at him from 2 different parts of the foliage. Naruto is behind him and wraps his arms around Kakashi, holding him in place for the shuriken. That is what actually surprises him. Where were the other shuriken coming from? He lets the shuriken hit him, while his real self observes from the branches. He spotted 2 Narutos, one approaching in tandem with Sakura and the other holding down his Kage Bunshin. It seemed Naruto knew some valuable ninjutsu as well. Naruto blocks Kakashi's Kage Bunshin from protecting the bells and Sakura rushed in for the take. Yes. I have them. Sakura cheers, before they disappear with a poof in her hand. Huh, too bad. Kakashi's clone dispels in the same way. Not bad. The real Kakashi thought. He wondered if they were starting to catch on. He watched as Sasuke approached his other prospective teammates. We need to work together. We can decide who gets the bells later. Naruto immediately agrees. Kakashi is too strong. There's no way we can fight him alone or 2-on-1. Sakura is all too happy to agree with Sasuke, but internally frets at the thought of Sasuke giving a bell to Naruto. Interesting. Kakashi mutters before finding somewhere else at ground level to stand and wait. Kakashi is leaning against a tree next to a beautiful river when they find him again. You found me. I was wondering if you were going to give up. Naruto appears to be alone but is backed up by 4 other cells. They all rush Kakashi. Kakashi's senses are quick enough to keep track of the real Naruto in the mess of Kagebunshin, and takes down each clone swiftly. While he is distracted, Sasuke arrives and attempts another Gokakyu while Naruto was still dangerously close. Kakashi internally disapproves of the tactic or putting a teammate at risk. They'd have to do better than that. Kakashi vanishes and reappears in the tree, watching the scorching fireball decimate the ground and force Naruto to cartwheel back. While in the tree, he is met by what he is beginning to understand as the only thing Sakura can currently do, thrown shuriken until she runs out. Disappointing, Kakashi says, loud enough for all 3 to hear. He lazily weaves some signs of his own, creating a whip of water, then grabs Naruto by the neck and drags him into the river. He vanishes again and places Sakura under a genjutsu, causing her to scream at whatever nightmare he'd concocted. Sasuke's eyes roam the opening in a panic and he is suddenly pulled into the ground with only his head sticking out. You 3 are running out of time. Kakashi pulls out a book and walks away. Sasuke is the only one that can scowl at him. Naruto looks like a drowned cat when he reunites with his fellow genin prospects. He digs Sasuke out of the ground and dispels the genjutsu that Sakura is under. Kakashi is only using as much power as he needs to stop each of us from getting the bells. He reveals, pulling his wet hair out of his face. He's pushing us to get them, but he's a jonin for a reason. I don't think there's any way we can actually get the bells at all, and if he wanted us to get them then one of us would have won by now. Sasuke nods, seeing that Naruto may be onto something. The test probably isn't about getting the bells then. He lied to get us to compete for them. There's a hidden meaning that he's letting us uncover on our own. But what haven't we tried yet? Sasuke asks pointedly. Maybe a plan? Sakura suggests nervously. We keep throwing ourselves at him, and it's not working. Naruto nods to the suggestion and offers more of his own input. We all attack together, and it looked like we were getting in each other's way to him. I think we need to show him that we actually can work together, not just that we're willing to. Any ideas? He's just standing there. Sakura offers up a simple plan, but both Naruto and Sasuke were frustrated and beyond caring about how simple it was. The goal was to get Kakashi to pass them, not to get the bells. The sun is getting dangerously low, and the 3 genin steel themselves. Their next attack is swift. The remainder of their shuriken are weaved into ninja wire in an attempt to capture him and send a fireball at him. He escapes easily. Kakashi notices that a clone of Naruto is guarding each of Sakura and Sasuke's backs, as well as one for Naruto himself. Clearly a prevention method to stop Kakashi from taking them by surprise at the rear. Every time he dodges, they push him into another trap of logs, taijutsu assault or ninjutsu. Kakashi weaves through them all before he is body slammed by the exhausted genin. It's enough to surprise him and his arms and legs are held tightly by Sasuke, Sakura and their clone bodyguards. He lets the real Naruto swipe the bells this time instead of protesting the teamwork. Their temporary reward for their efforts. Ah, you got them. Kakashi smiles menacingly. Now make your choice. Who's going back to the academy, Naruto? That's up to you. Naruto retorts, and he drops the bells at his feet. All of us or none. Kakashi gives a genuine laugh, and it carries his happiness easily across the sunset grounds. I guess I have no choice. Kakashi's pose is ridiculously dramatic. You pass. All 3 students slump in relief. Well done, you 3. You're the very first Team 7 under my tutelage. However, Naruto is struck with a sense of foreboding. A water rope lunges out of the river and dunks Naruto a second time. Blurb. Naruto chokes on the cold water. That was for giving me the scare of my life yesterday. Meet me at the Hokage's office in the morning. Kakashi vanishes in a puff of smoke. Truly there is no end to conflict in the cursed shinobi world. Naruto swears and thinks on how he'll one-up Kakashi next time. Naruto stretches as soon as he closes the door of his apartment, and immediately makes his way over to the kitchen for some dinner. He really should have known that Madara wouldn't give him any useful advice on a test like that. But that was his grandfather's way, teach him to learn on his own instead of spoon-feeding him the answers. He grins at the thought of finally going on official missions. The hidden Uchiha does some light reading in Fuinjutsu theory for a short while before practicing his sensing once more before bed. Sakura only had time to eat her mother's cooking before passing out and needing to be carried to bed by her father. Sleep tight, baby girl. Kizashi tucks her in lovingly. Sasuke has a harder time sleeping, despite his exhaustion. His excitement had overwritten his tiredness. One step close to you, Nisan. Are you sure you don't want another D rank? Tsunade asks, clearly bemused at the forced work ethic that Kakashi has imposed on his 3 students. Said students looked quite annoyed after another round of cat chasing and potato farming, but they had yet to make a complaint about it. Kakashi smiles. Ma, I think I'll head home and get some beauty sleep. It's not easy rearing a child. Sleep is a well-enjoyed commodity. Believe me, Kakashi, there aren't enough hours in the day. Naruto chips in needlessly, ducking a half-hearted swipe from his sensei. The Jonin isn't blind to how frustrated Naruto and Sasuke are becoming, however. While D-rank missions provided an opportunity to learn skills for blending in and for home use, hot-blooded boys often wanted more. Sasuke's clear motivation was power. A kind of power that isn't earned by chasing cats. Don't be rude, Naruto. Sakura scolds the unusually tall genin. Bless her heart, always there to defend her precious sensei. Did you know that Kakashi's hair used to be blonde? Naruto outright lied. Convincingly. What? Is Sakura's dumbfounded reply. Her loud voice drowned out Tsunade's own quiet and amused repeat of the question. Naruto nods, looking quite solemn. D-rank missions have been categorically proven to cause a number of negative health effects. Hair loss, loss of hair color, degenerative joint conditions, excessive hair growth, rapidly changing facial features in the form of moles and dental conditions. Why do you think Kakashi wears that mask all the time? He's shy and feels ashamed of his buck teeth and big lips. Sasuke actually looked interested once Naruto brought up the mask. Be careful, Sakura. We can't do D-rank missions forever. Unless, of course, you want to turn out like Yamanaka Ino? No! Sakura snarls, before righting herself and refusing to fall for another of his idiotic shenanigans. Shut up, Naruto. Kakashi decides to step in and get the last word. Don't worry, Sakura-chan. What Naruto forgot to mention was that the sensei of any genin squad knows the address of all their genin, and therefore they have nowhere to hide for surprise midnight revenge D-ranks. And as a genin unit, the other members of that team are also obligated not to leave their misbehaving peer behind. Naruto's visible eye twitched, and he seemingly struggled to maintain his innocent idiot look when his two teammates turned to glare. Ahem. Team 7 turns to the bemused-looking Hokage. Come back tomorrow for another mission. Dismissed. The silver-haired Jonin observes his cute little students. Kakashi doesn't consider himself ignorant to the fact that he has certain liberties as a Konoha shinobi, but as with most powerful shinobi in Konoha, all of them are given leeway for their eccentric behaviors under the unspoken grounds that they serve Konoha and only Konoha. It's this minor tidbit of knowledge that he uses to assess his most peculiar student, Uzumaki Naruto. So far, the boy hadn't shown anything to him besides just being better than even the prodigious Uchiha Sasuke. Sure, he could throw around Kage Bunshin with enviable ease. And yes, Kakashi has never seen a boy that age of such prowess in taijutsu. But Naruto's chakra levels and strength are far too powerful for him to only have Kage Bunshin at his disposal. He is hiding something, perhaps many things. But it's Kakashi's job to determine if Naruto will use that hidden power for the good of Konoha or if Naruto needs to be disappeared. Naruto could continue being secretive. It wasn't anyone's business knowing what kind of things he can do while there is no large-scale conflict going on in the elemental nations. Naruto was the only person that these secrets are actually hurting. He could be given more leeway and allowances if he proves to Tsunade and the other higher-ups that he is someone worth controlling, and he is taking more opportunities away from himself by keeping things too close to his chest. But that's Naruto's decision and responsibility. Kakashi can show him the doors, but Naruto needs to open them. And besides, Naruto's abilities so far have been well within the realm of possibility for someone self-taught. Taijutsu skills could have been honed in spars against fellow children bully genin when he was younger, and he clearly also had an outright aptitude for it. He is naturally talented in the art. And Kage Bunshin, while a forbidden jutsu, is clearly used frequently by skilled members of the forces throughout the village. It isn't a stretch to assume that monkey see monkey do could be applied, and without anyone to teach him the responsible use of ninjutsu and the importance of not attempting anything without knowing what it is, Naruto could just be lucky to have a high chakra threshold and could use a jutsu like that without just dying instantly. Naruto's behavior isn't so easy to read. Sure, he jokes and messes with his teammates, but Kakashi has known him for a good part of Naruto's life. He knows that the Naruto that is seen throughout the village is merely a persona. Kakashi has seen Naruto express actual rage at people trying to pick on him. He has seen Naruto be down in the dumps, which was at its worst when someone he liked died roughly half a year before he'd graduated. Naruto's true personality bled through his rare instances, but it may take a catalyst to see what truly lay under the mask. The spectrum of his attitude may be slightly concerning, but Kakashi feels that he's a good enough judge of character to tell if someone is suitable to be alone around his child, especially in the case of babysitting. It's not too worrying that Naruto keeps to himself. For now, all three of his fresh genin suffer through their D-ranks as fresh genin should. They do their teamwork drills at the end of each mission, something that Kakashi insists upon in order to evaluate how long it will take for them to be C-rank ready. Sakura is making the most obvious progress. She is perfectly willing to cooperate with Sasuke and has at least warmed up to Naruto considerably over the course of the 2 weeks they've been in a team. The two boys are a slightly different story. Naruto and Sasuke are both very independent. They are only going through the teamwork drills to appease their sensei, that much is clear. The whole team is on the cusp of being ready for a C-rank, and he can only hope that the information he'd been trying to impart upon them was sinking in. Neither of them like doing drills or learning formations and genin class combo attacks when they could be doing their own very vigorous training. It's too deep into their lifestyle to expect either of them to change just from a few lessons in working together, but Kakashi didn't think it would take something catastrophic to remind them to watch each other's and Sakura's backs. Kakashi took a breath and pocketed the book he'd been too distracted by his own thoughts to read. Team 7 had packed up their gardening tools and were clearly waiting for instruction. He takes in Sasuke and Sakura's marginally disgruntled looks and compares them to Naruto. He seems rather unfazed at the menial labor. Kakashi was reminded that the stipend that independent miners received from the village was said to be quite small and that Naruto in truth was probably relishing the increased income. Sasuke has deep coffers to support him and Sakura has working parents, but Naruto needs these missions, which is why they end up doing one once a day. Kakashi hasn't interacted much with the other Jounin sensei since the team was placed in his hands, but he expects that Team 7 has the highest mission count among the rookies. Good work, Team 7. Kakashi offers his praise. Positive reinforcement. I'm deciding to treat you today, to lunch? Is Naruto's immediate inquiry. Nope. Kakashi refuses cheerily. We're going to be doing some combat training. Sasuke expectedly perks up. Come along then, my kawaii genin. Kakashi chirps. Time to tire you out proper. Sakura is hit with a sense of foreboding. The team slowly makes their way to the same training ground that was used in their belt test. The genin make quiet conversation on the way. Do you think Kakashi-sensei wants us to spar? Sakura asks nervously. Probably. Sasuke replies, almost completely insensitive and uncaring to Sakura's clear fear. Sakura-chan. Kakashi catches her attention with a mild stern inflection to his voice. You can't get any better at fighting if you don't practice fighting. I need to make sure that you're ready for more difficult missions. The boys will go easy on you, but I expect you to do your absolute best. Alright. Her reply is tremulous, and besides, I said combat training, not just sparring. I'm sure you three can team up against me and do better than last time. Kakashi makes it quite clear in his voice that there would be consequences if they didn't, especially after all their teamwork training. Kakashi makes a show of putting on a sigh, and hopes inwardly that his cute genin have learned what he has been teaching. Sakura winces as she watches Sasuke get pummeled into the ground again. She wants to get up and cheer Sasuke-kun on, but stacking some sparring with the boys on top of the genin versus jonin exercise they'd started with, has left her barely able to move. All she can do is sit against the tree trunk, patting down the sweat and silently hope that Sasuke-kun beats that infuriating Naruto. Unlike the previous team training sessions, Kakashi-sensei is permitting the use of ninjutsu and genjutsu. Sasuke hasn't had much opportunity to show anything off with Naruto hounding him with his superior taijutsu ability. Oh, how she wondered at what kind of power Sasuke was keeping secret. The mystery just makes her to know more. She starts as Sasuke leaps to his feet and tries to get away from Naruto. Naruto seems surprised as well. Sasuke is puffing and doesn't take his Sharingan off Naruto for even a second. The intensity makes her slightly nervous. Kakashi-sensei also watches beside her and gives a thoughtful hum. I need to keep my distance. Sasuke thinks to himself, acknowledging that he can't make use of ninjutsu or genjutsu while Naruto is in control of the fight. Naruto is too quick for shuriken jutsu alone to work, but maybe he could. He weaves through several signs that are ingrained in his memory and lands lastly on a tiger seal. Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu. Sasuke blows out a fireball twice his size and sends it flying in Naruto's direction. The flames burn the grass as it sails through the air at speed, but there is enough distance that Naruto can run to the side without challenging the fireball. Naruto already has 2 shuriken in his hand and throws them while flanking. While running, he weaves a few seals of his own. The 2 shuriken multiply and become 20. They clang off of each other in the air, making their flight path unpredictable, but thankfully Sasuke's Sharingan is able to determine where they are going and what direction to move in. Naruto is lured to one side. He seems to be waiting for the next play. Sasuke weaves through several hand signs again and fires off another of his clan's signature jutsu. It flies across the field and looks about ready to intercept Naruto before he can throw another efficient volley of shuriken. Naruto leaps back as Sasuke predicted, and the Uchiha boy is already weaving different signs. Katon, Hozenka no Jutsu. From his mouth, 5 smaller fireballs whirl around each other randomly. Sasuke whips out 5 shuriken in each hand and throws them to the sides of the swirling Katon jutsu. The shuriken did not hit each other, but did sway in the air as if attached to the end of a flag. The spin made them unpredictable, and the combination of shuriken jutsu and his katon made a wide area of effect that Naruto wouldn't be able to dodge without leaping up into the air, in which case he'd be a sitting duck for another attack, or by going underground. Go, Sasuke-kun! The impressive display invigorates Sakura's spirits, and she cheers for her beloved teammate. Kakashi readies into a position to assist if Naruto isn't able to dodge, but pauses as he senses Naruto's chakra swell. He observes Naruto use only a single sign, but the amount of chakra infused is enough for him to brace. Sakura-chan, I'd get behind the tree if I were you. Not bad. Naruto thinks it's annoying to hide his abilities, but throwing shuriken wasn't going to work in the grand scheme of the fight. But he's too competitive to just lose and let it slide. Sasuke went through much effort to get him this far, maybe he'd reward him with a strong counter. Nothing as flashy as what his opponent had just done. The attack is encroaching on him too quickly to give it much thought, and he casts only a single bird sign. He infuses chakra into his lungs and it bursts out in a one-shot pop from his mouth. Futon de Tapa. An enormous wave of wind chakra obliterates the advancing attack. It levels the ground as it tears across the training field and approaches Sasuke. The fireballs sputtered out almost pathetically and instantly, and Sasuke was given no choice but to duck and attempt to dig his arms into the ground, anchoring himself. The skin on Sasuke's face is pulled back as the wind slams into him, and all of the grass and rocks around him are blasted away. The jutsu is quick and brutal. As it passes over him, some bushes are uprooted outright and tree branches snap off. Sasuke digs his arms out of the ground, but it is clear that he is concussed. He is easy prey for Naruto, who swoops in and puts a kunai to his neck. Winner, Naruto! Kakashi announces unnecessarily. Sakura gawps at how quickly the fight ended, and Kakashi is not surprised by her reaction. Wind release, excessive chakra capacity, enough stamina to make a squad of Jonin jealous, and quite possibly the best taijutsu user his age I've ever met. Kakashi mentally counts the number of oddities converging on a single genin. That's enough for today, I think. Kakashi dismisses the team, looking over to check how injured Sasuke is. Nothing his lovely wife can't tend to quickly. Tadaima. Sakura croaks. Her mother turns around from making dinner and greets her daughter. Welcome home, dear? Mabuki pauses and takes in Sakura's beaten appearance. Sakura collapses into her usual seat at the dinner table, and she looks quite obviously worse for wear. My goodness! What happened? Her mother puts the cooking down the priority list as frets over the exhausted girl. Training. Mabuki did not look happy. You look like you were in a fight. Kakashi-sensei made us spar. He's checking if we're ready for a real mission. By beating you up? Her father, who sat at the other end of the table with a newspaper in hand, is surprisingly the voice of reason between the two energetic parents. Come on, sweetheart. Kakashi-sensei can hardly send our little Sakura-chan out before she's ready now, can he? I think we'll all be happy if Team 7 gets into trouble and everyone can handle themselves. Kizashi twiddles his mustache as he speaks. Sakura is grateful that all her mother can respond with is a nagging humph. Not that I'm not worried. Kizashi continues. But your sensei is a famous shinobi for a reason. He knows what he's doing. But that also means that my precious Sakura could see what was coming a mile away, but was too exhausted to move. Little baby girl, apple of my eye, my pride and joy. Kizashi wraps the helplessly squirming girl in a bear hug. Sakura-chan is growing up and leaving for the first time. Ota-san. Sakura's weak protest into his shoulder is readily ignored. Mabuki joins the hug with teary eyes. Sasuke collapses into his bed and thinks about the weeks leading up to this point. Take the week off, you three. Kakashi told them. Think about your training, and recover. I think it's high time we took on something a little more than digging weeds. I, for one, am going to spend this week with my family. If you have anyone that might miss you, then I suggest you say goodbye. The Uchiha boy does exactly that. He lets the young couple who own the bakery he visits know that he's leaving, and gives them his apartment keys, as is the usual practice for shinobi leaving the village for possibly extended periods of time. Sasuke likes the couple and has come to trust them somewhat. They do not sneer at his goals, they do not ridicule him for being born into a legendary clan, and they do not try to control his life. Sasuke is cautious, but these things also happen to be traits of his newly found rival, Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto is certainly an anomaly to him. Unlike his other peers, Naruto didn't ignore him or make mention of his goals. Naruto didn't seem to care. All he wanted was for Sasuke to get stronger. He had been tempted to ask Naruto outright why, but he knew that Naruto could be infuriatingly evasive, seemingly for no reason other than his own entertainment. If Naruto wanted him to know something, he would just say it, so Sasuke had to try and understand for himself just what Naruto's motive is for encouraging him. But the conclusion he came to makes him feel bitter. Naruto has no equal in their age group. Once, it had been Sasuke in that same position. His peers are far too weak to provide actual challenge. Soft whetstones make for dull blades. Anyone stronger than him was a superior officer that wouldn't spare the time to train with him, or if there were any people his age willing to spar, he hadn't met them yet. Joint sparring sessions between teams seemed to be a rare occurrence due to often conflicting mission schedules and external factors like family life. Until Naruto came along, Sasuke didn't have anyone stronger than him that was willing to train with him even without Kakashi's influence. But now that Naruto is here, it feels as though it's a mixed blessing. On one hand, Naruto is a worthy adversary who provides meaningful challenge in their spars, and on the other hand is the fact that Sasuke now feels inadequate knowing that there is someone so powerful his age, knowing that that man had been more powerful than he is now at this age. And worse is that Naruto is an orphan. They have that in common, but Sasuke has a wealth of background knowledge and archives to search for answers in the pursuit of power, and yet he still fails to defeat his rival. It doesn't feel like he's progressing when he fights Naruto. Kakashi, for all his flippancy, is the one to try and explain it to him. Well, surely you can see for yourself that you're getting stronger, right? Your plan was good for something you came up with on the spot, and that combination of ninjutsu and shurikenjutsu would have had anyone who isn't proficient in futon or doton. Think objectively about your growth. You have sought out on your own a new jutsu from your clan's archives, practiced with it until you could use it in a combat scenario, combined it another technique, and throw in that you made plan to employ them all at once in order to defeat him. Sounds to me that your weakness isn't the problem. It's just Naruto being too strong. You can't see that you're growing stronger because the only people that you're fighting are stronger by a margin that gets shorter every time that you use your own initiative to gain strength. But how could he hope to defeat his brother, if he could not defeat his genin teammate? And he asked as much to Kakashi, which makes him look back on that question with a sense of shame at his frustrated, juvenile behavior. Listen to me. Kakashi's eye zones in on Sasuke. It's slightly intimidating and Sasuke doesn't know if that's intentional. Itachi had everything that you don't. Even before he became a genin, the way I hear it is that your father wasn't easy on him, even by normal strict parent standards. Itachi was told to train in every waking moment, so much that it took a toll on his health. When he was recommended to join the NBU, I personally refused it because of his reduced effectiveness in combat from his stress and fatigue evaluation. He had an entire clan of people with the same genetic gift that he has that he could defer to for advice on how to master it. He had teachers of clan jutsu rather than just scrolls, and when his second ANBU application went through once he cleaned up his excessive training, he had ANBU trainers and experiences to draw knowledge from. There are many factors as to how Itachi is so powerful and only one of them is raw, natural talent. Kakashi's catch-up breath through his mask is audible. He leans against some railing in the viewpoint they stopped at after he'd suggested walking home together, so that Sasuke or anyone else on a different occasion can talk to him privately about their concerns. You know, Sasuke, I was in the same boat as you for a very long time. My father committed suicide when I was 5 years old and I was left with only people who wanted me to live up to be the same legend that he was. No one wanted me to be Kakashi, and I could have easily been the predecessor of Itachi when it comes to infamous traitors. But in the end, I found connections and bonds of peers and friends. It was through those connections that I grew stronger and began to understand myself. Not as the son of Hatake Tsukumo, but as Hatake Kakashi, who is his own person. Sasuke is very still when Kakashi next speaks. What I want you to understand is that you are the sum of everything that has happened in your life up until this point. Own it. Understand that you cannot possibly hope to gain power like Itachi did. His life at your age was very, very different, and you don't need to match his life when you have already proven to yourself that you can learn both on your own and with the help of your team. You are not as strong as he was at your age. Who cares? You can still become stronger than him. You can still be Uchiha Sasuke, not the second Itachi. Kakashi walked him home after that, and Sasuke didn't say a word. All he could feel was the pounding of his heart and the tightness in his eyes. Sasuke wonders what else his sensei has lost. An adult had surely lost more than they care to say. He wonders what Naruto has lost. He wonders what Sakura has lost. He wonders what the Hokage, what Jonin, even Chunin and Genin have lost and thinks that maybe he is not alone in despair. He is on his back. His head rests on his pillow. One hand comes up to cover his eyes. I am Uchiha Sasuke, he states to himself. Tears trickle down the sides of his face despite him trying to clutch them in. They disappear into his hair. A half-sob comes out of his throat. It is uncomfortable and dry. The weight of vengeance grips his heart. I will not become you. It is a promise. Kakashi is wearing a smile before he even steps foot inside. The noisy, off-tune singing of his daughter lightens his heart after trying to lift up someone else's. Tadaima, Kakashi says, but mostly goes unheard. He leaves his sandals and flak jacket at the door and makes a beeline to his wife. Shizen doesn't so much as jump when Kakashi wraps his arms around her waist and put his head on her shoulder. I take it that you're back on the mission runs? Shizen leans into his embrace, taking a moment to enjoy it. Yep. Have you sorted out your replacement? Yeah. Tsunade-sama had me train up the new boy. Good timing, I guess. He officially replaces me tomorrow. I'm glad. Kakashi's voice rumbles lowly. They wouldn't be able to rely on Naruto as much for babysitting anymore, but at least Shizen would be around full-time. Papa's back, is the enthusiastic greeting her receives from the other special girl in his life. She's been waiting for you all day, Papa. Shizen returns to cooking. She has had something very important to tell you. There is something mischievous about her voice and the way she slips out of his arms. Kakashi doesn't give it much thought. Well? What do you want? Kakashi is teasingly flippant when he looks down at Minako. Up. She stretches her arms up to him. Up? Up what? Kakashi looks at the ceiling to spot something she was telling him. I don't see anything. Minako blows a raspberry at him. I want you to please pick me up. It is not a question. It is a demand. But since she said please, Kakashi obediently hefts his baby girl up. I have made the decision, Papa. Minako's face turns serious as she sounds out a longer than usual word. What have you decided, Minako? Minako leans in and looks her father in the eye. I am going to marry Nero and I. There a pause. One only a few seconds long, and yet it felt like an eternity to Kakashi. Oh God. Shizen promptly breaks down into hysterical laughter. Ichiraku Ramen is but one stall in the street. Its lights aren't extravagant, but give a welcoming aura, even as the sun sets. Naruto is telling a story to his favorite ramen waitress. So there I was, toe-to-toe with 5 of the meanest Kiri shinobi you ever saw. Hulking Jounin with that familiar IWA stench that can be smelled a mile away, teeth sharper than daggers. Slowly, all 10 of them surround me. But do I surrender? No. I summon my highly trained killer instinct and pounce on those Kumo shinobi. Chu. Wa. Haya. Amateur taijutsu moves thrown in for emphasis. And when the dust cleared, there were 20 less Sunanin in the world. Oh Naruto, you're so amazing. Ayam flutters her lashes at the brave shinobi. I know. Put it here. Naruto taps his cheek. She leans over the counter and gives his cheek a light peck, featuring an exaggerated moil. Sounds like you've had some intense deranks. Tucci, Ayam's father chips in as he puts a fresh bowl down in front of the ravenous boy. They can only put the best genin on them. The unspoken "I'm the best genin" is clear. He is just about to break apart his chopsticks when commotion starts to kick up behind him. About 6 pairs of feet are visible under the signs for the ramen stall. Ignore them, Naruto. Ayam whispers when a group of young adults being obnoxiously loud walk past all too slowly. Apparently all of them got promoted to chunin, and they've been celebrating with booze for the past few days. It wouldn't hurt them to celebrate elsewhere. Does anyone even sell alcohol on this street? Naruto breaks the chopsticks and starts to eat his favorite customer ramen. You know how it is, Naruto. They get drunk somewhere else and decide to get something to spew up in 5 minutes. They'll be gone like usual soon enough. For Tucci, this is by far the first time something has happened like this, and his response to it is tempered by experience. They're not even drunk. Naruto shakes his head. Footsteps are too even and coordinated. The sound of kunai in their pouches are making a clink, so they're likely kit out in shinobi gear instead of casual wear. Their speech isn't slurred or affected by alcohol either, so they're just being noisy for fun. Flaunting their chunin vests, probably. Ayam and Tucci blinked at him. You can tell that without looking? Ayam asks almost dazedly. Naruto shrugs dismissively and returns to his bowl. It's just a shinobi thing. He savors his ramen and devours what remains of the broth by tipping it into his mouth. Thanks. I probably won't see you guys for a few weeks. Kakashi is having us do a C rank. A C rank already? Didn't you just graduate? Yeah, but he seems to think that we're ready. I get that D ranks are important for teaching us how to be normal people, but I kinda just want a real mission already. The obnoxious group of green chunin return up the street, making a ruckus, and unfortunately one has managed to overhear the conversation. You hear that, Jinoichi? A little genin is going on his first C rank. The stand immediately becomes too crowded with 6 chunin hovering over Naruto, who's still sitting on a stool. I'd leave if I were you boys. Tucci warns while Ayam looks startled and a bit frightened at the group. I don't like it when people make my customers uncomfortable. One of them smugly dismisses it. Nah. Chunin are entitled to talk to their underlings and civilians however we want. Another speaks up with a leer at Ayam. Plus we got some eye candy. So why don't you get cooking, ya old geezer? Chunin are not above the law. Tucci has dealt with fools before and keeps his cool. Jounin are your superiors, and a complaint to just one will have a group of newbies demoted for abusing officer status. I don't see any Jounin around, old man. The first speaker laughs, and the other 5 join in gladly. You think we're just gonna let you run and get help from the big kids? I think I might have some fun with that fine waitress of yours too. Tucci shuffles in front of his quivering daughter. You're going to wish there were. The dark threat from the boy who'd been silent up until this point catches them off guard and reduces the noise level to near silence. Spectators in the street were preparing to look for help but watched for a moment when the chunin close in around Naruto. Oh? What did you say, Genin-chan? A hand reaches out to grab the boy's shoulder. I said you are going to wish that the Jounin were here to protect you from me. Tucci swallows as Naruto's face hit into the chunin, spiked with hatred and rage. His fist that had been clenching the chopsticks had veins bulging on the back of it. Fucking poser Genin. The one grabbing his shoulder has his hand clenched into a vice grip. Naruto yanks harshly and pulls the chunin shoulder out of the joint and punts him into the wooden fence on the opposite side of the street. The chunin breaks the boards with the speed that he'd been thrown through the air. He is screaming in pain once his mind catches up. What the fuck? Jinoichi throws a punch at Naruto's head. It is so slow. So damn slow. And Naruto has all too much rage built up to be satisfied with these weaklings. Naruto doesn't even need to dodge. His counterattack comes before the punch even lands. The boy throws a brutal haymaker at Jinoichi's head and he is sent tumbling to the ground with a broken nose twisted in an obvious way. The other 4 waste no time and jump to the rescue by attacking instead of using their heads and running. Naruto deftly uses one as a springboard and stomps on the collarbone of another, sending his victim crashing down and squealing. He lands, dodges and deflects punches on 3 fronts too fast for them to manage before throwing off the balance of one of them with a trip. Without looking, Naruto kicks out the foot of one attacking from behind. The chunin falling face first is met with whirling punch that instantly makes him black out. He isn't conscious to feel being thrown meters away, or having his jaw broken. The other 3 are still attacking despite the assault, a good sign on why they were promoted. They are quick enough to be chunin for sure. A shame that their steps are too weak to dance with him. Weaving his way behind one of the 3 remaining, Naruto is quick and strong enough to throw the young man's legs up, making him fall backwards. Clenching both hands together, he slams down on his stomach midair and leaves a Chunin coughing up blood from the force. He takes down the last two simultaneously. He runs at them and they're too afraid to know what else to do besides try and meet Naruto head-on. Naruto jumps, pushing aside two punches and delivers an snap kick with each legs to the sides of their heads. They spin around and fall to the ground helplessly. The one with the broken collarbone gets to his feet despite the pain and tries futile kicks to stop Naruto from getting closer. His reward having his leg grabbed and pulled so he fell down. The amateur move was something seen in playground fights. Naruto delivers a kick much like his first to the sides of the rib cage and sends Mr. Broken Collarbone tumbling with more broken insides. Only Jinoichi is fighting condition. Gasps erupt from the observers when a kunai is pulled from his thigh holster. "Alright, you little prick." Jinoichi's snarl sends spittle of the blood dripping from his nose out. "The smartest thing you could have done just now was run." Naruto's voice takes a dominant tone. It is near shiver-inducing. His stance isn't really a stance. It's more a smug, superior pose as if to say you've already lost. Jinoichi lunges with a roar. Fool, he can't even get in range. His kunai hand is caught by Naruto's right quicker than he could even perceive. Naruto crushes the wrist of the idiotic Chunin. The kunai drops at his feet, and Jinoichi drops to his knees. Naruto uses his other hand to grab the underside of Jinoichi's jaw and squeezes tightly, preventing him from speaking well. All he can do is give a pained moan as he exhales from his nose spittled more blood. Here is how it's going to be. Naruto's dark tone is not something put on or practice. It's a genuine representation of the bad things that would happen to the group if they dared to disobey. You and your friends aren't going to bother the people in the street anymore. Fuck you. Jinoichi manages to sputter out from his clenched jaw. Naruto tightens his grip immediately, and the Chunin's jaw is fractured. The responding scream of pain is muted by Naruto's hand. Spectators watch in the street while making sure their children couldn't see, but didn't turn away themselves. Naruto's face is cast in shadow. The bright light from the ramen stall amplifies the shadow cast by his hair. Jinoichi can only see one eye, but it is making him quiver at the promised retribution that is still clear on the boy's hatred-filled visage. Jinoichi moans pathetically as his jaw begins to pulse. You will leave these people alone, and you will behave yourself. If you so much as dare to mutter an insult under your breath, or look at these people in a way that I find disrespectful, I will. And you. The Chunin nods fearfully, unable to speak. Naruto nods, good, and shoves him to the ground. Nice work, kid, is the mutter he hears from the crowd, although the others remain in silent awe. A jounin is soon on site after someone called for help, and he collects the reports from witnesses. Tucci and I am given accurate recount. The jounin is soon joined by two medics from the hospital to patch up the soon-to-be genin. Naruto tries to leave but is stopped by a glasses-wearing jounin. To his credit, Aoba looked apologetic. Sorry, kid. Gotta get your side of the story too. Aoba looks too tired to deal with the ongoings. You're not in trouble. As Tsunade-sama would say, they had it coming. Naruto is cleared of any charges he might have received by the operating jounin. His behavior is deemed as unnecessarily violent but is given a pass due to the clear threat the vagrant Chunin posed to him and the stall staff. His assessment of the incident linked up with what his grandfather told him about the behaviors of shinobi. His power had prevented harm from coming to those people that he considered close to him. And Tucci had tried to reason with them. Words weren't enough sometimes, and the six fools only understood that what they were doing was a bad idea after they had it literally beaten into their heads. Shinobi were often given leeway in terms of their behavior. It was just how Konoha's system worked. Keeping shinobi loyal by giving them certain freedoms, and then keeping them in line using the ranking hierarchy that was based on the power and talent of those in the higher tiers of Konoha's network. When shinobi misbehaved too much, the next highest ranking person would be the one to put them in their place, and so the importance of strength and responsibility in the kage of a village was placed in maximum importance to the ecosystem of the village. He came to realize that the only reason that he'd gotten away with what was essentially assault by civilian standards was because he was strong enough to defeat 6 Chunin. He was worthy of being a Konoha shinobi. He'd be of more use in the field than in a jail cell. It was as though he'd had a eureka moment. As if he was finally understanding something that he was taught long ago. Team 7 unites in the early hours of the morning on the same day, 1 week later. Tsunade starts reading out the available D ranks preemptively. Actually, Tsunade-sama. Kakashi interrupts her as politely as he can. Team 7 is ready for a C rank. The genin have had a week to prepare for their mission. Naruto and Sasuke look as perky as can be, but Sakura regresses into a fearful visage. Tsunade looked surprised before she shrugged and smiled. Alright. You're the first of the new batch to ask for a C rank. They've been nabbed up by a few experienced teams today, but I'm sure we have something here. Tsunade pushes the intercom button. Are the new mission scrolls ready yet? Yes, Hokage-sama. Shall I bring them in for you? A young adult male answers professionally. Bring them in. The young man walks in with a scroll carrier in one hand. He refills the near-empty stacks from the bottom and refreshes the supply for the empty C and B ranks. Will there be anything else, Hokage-sama? No thank you, Kabuto. Return to your duties. Kabuto bows politely and takes his leave. Shizen's replacement? Kakashi asks rhetorically but gets an answer anyway. Yep. Tsunade pops the pea and leans back lackadaisically. Kid's good, damn good medic too. He can give Shizen a run for her money, that's for sure. Really? High praise indeed for someone so young, from the Hokage herself no less. Now your mission. Tsunade takes the first C rank off the top and starts to inform the team. The client is a bridge builder from Nami no Kuni. His primary concerns are local crime syndicates causing trouble for him and his workers, and so he needs protection from a more skilled security detail than non-shinobi nations can provide. You'll be escorting the client back to Nami, and oversee the remaining work until the bridge is finished. 2 weeks at most, but the client has impressed on us that the deadline needs to be met without further delays. Tsunade pushed the intercom again. Kabuto, send in Tazuna. Not a moment later the bridge builder enters the room. He is an older man reeking of alcohol and looks none too impressed with the selection of shinobi before him. This is what I paid for. Tazuna's voice is nearly slurred. 3 brats and a cyclops? How the hell am I supposed to be safe? You are entitled to a refund, of course. The nearest shinobi village is a mere 3 weeks away if finishing your bridge isn't as urgent as we were led to believe. Tazuna wisely shut his mouth. Why don't we just get on with the mission? Kakashi suggests and bows shortly to Tsunade. Thank you, Tsunade-sama, good luck. Come home safe. The group can only move as quickly as the client. That means no leaping between trees, no great lengths of sprinting, and most certainly not getting to the site that the client wants to arrive at within a reasonable period of time. But such is the way of escort missions, so the genin would just have to learn to deal with remaining alert in order to protect their speed challenge charge. The first day passes without incident. They set up camp and take short watches so that everyone can get enough sleep, and by morning they're ready to get back to it. The group walk down the beaten path with Kakashi at the rear. Sakura tentatively asks Tazuna about the importance of the bridge that he needs to build. Tazuna-san, why is it so urgent that your bridge gets finished in time? I thought Nami no Kuni has trade partners that use ships. Tazuna has a short swig of ambiguous liquid before replying to the girl. No harm, right? Well, business on that front is a bit stilted right now. Our trade partners are having a tough time getting ships out of the bay because of pirates, and since we're cut off from the mainland, we got no other way to sell what we need to. Families are starving and we're losing jobs because we can't trade. If that were the whole story, then you'd just save your resources for yourselves and wouldn't need shinobi guard. Naruto thought of the obvious inconsistency in the story. You've got plenty of fish in the sea. Clients lying about what's waiting for us. But Kakashi doesn't say anything. A mission is a mission, and C ranks don't often warrant sassing the client for details about their struggles. Unless Tazuna outright stated something incriminating, then they would continue unabated. So what kind of things do Nami trade? Sakura asks a question that may actually help assess the importance of the bridge. Well, before all this, we used to export fish of all sorts. Tuna, salmon, you name it. Our fishing boats are tip-top. But more importantly is that we import timber and building materials that we can't get ourselves. Once we finish the bridge, more possibilities for trade and tourism open right up. I can believe that at least. Naruto returns to observing the surroundings. Following the short conversation is a long few hours before the environment shows its own inconsistency. The trees in the strip of the area they're traveling through are taller than what they'd passed up until this point. Normally, would make the squad look up for the increase in hiding spots for potential ambushers, but 2 puddles in the road were not ignorable to Naruto on a day that there wasn't any rain. He extends his senses. 2 chakra signatures. The tactic would have been more impressive on a day that the weather favored them, but given that this is the tactic they chose means that they probably didn't have other stealth skills. Likely Chunin then, that they could employ a strategy like this but not have the foresight to learn to do something else. But there's no point in acting prematurely. There's still the chance these shinobi weren't after them and were waiting for someone else, however unlikely that may be. Team 7 walks past the puddles and they are immediately attacked. Knew it. The 2 hidden shinobi are revealed to be Kirinin, and they make the mistake of attacking Kakashi first. Kakashi is seemingly ripped to shreds by a bladed chain linking the assailants, but both Naruto and Sasuke are wise enough at this point to know that this was another one of his substitution shenanigans. Sakura, though, is understandably spooked and freezes in place. The boys are forced to act and take on each. Sasuke makes quick work of disabling the chain with some well-placed kunai, forcing the enemy to separate it from their gauntlets. The 2 are small fry and are made quick work of despite their obviously poisoned claws. Well, that was fun. Kakashi announces his presence by appearing out of the trees. And they're still alive too. Good job, you 2. Why don't you stay here with Tazuna for a moment? I just want to have a nice chat with these Kirinin you've gotten me. You're something else. Sasuke comments to the squirming Nin in his arm lock. A whole new brand of weak. The Nin growls viciously through his rebreather. Kakashi ties up the attackers and leads them into the forest, away from the curious gaze of the genin. What's he gonna do? Tazuna fidgets, the surge of fear he felt slowly disappearing. Interrogation. Naruto answers simply. Kakashi then returns with some very pointed questions. Tazuna's follow-up sob story plucks on Sakura's heartstrings. Naruto and Sasuke didn't need any convincing to continue the mission. It's all so tiresome. Kakashi thought, exasperated. A feminine figure recounts the observation of Team 7's encounter to a large man. The demon brothers failed, Zabuza-sama. The escort team is led by Hatake Kakashi. Did he spot you? No. The man stands up and hefts a mighty blade onto his back. I'll see what Hatake Kakashi is really made of. This is as far as I go, says the dinghy captain who carried them across the sea. Thanks, you've been a great help. They officially land in Nami no Kuni after an impressive view of the bridge project, and further intel from Tazuna about the nature of what's going on in Nami. Team 7 disembarks in an area that was clearly used for housing purposes and journey further into the archipelago. The team is on high alert after their encounter with the Chunin, expecting escalation if what they heard about Gato is true. And unfortunately, the quiet doesn't last long. Naruto's senses tell him of several chakra signatures floating around. The majority of them are small critters: rabbits, foxes, and fish. So when another two enter his range, he presumes they must be more wildlife at the very edge of his senses. Kakashi's well-earned experience tells him that the snowy rabbit present is most certainly not wild. Get down! Everyone hits the ground as the whistling heavy object cuts through the air and smacks into a tree trunk. A new shinobi appears on the long hilt of the revealed massive blade. He threw that from outside my sensing range. Who the hell is this guy? Naruto thought on the sheer strength and power that kind of move took. Sharingan no Kakashi. No wonder the demon brothers didn't come back with the builder's head. Kakashi assesses his opponent and pulls his forehead protector up, revealing his aforementioned Sharingan. Momochi Zabuza. Missing Nin of Kirigakure, and one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. I see my reputation precedes me. A wicked smile lies under his mask of bandages. But I really must be killing that old man now. The genin form up around Tazuna. Zabuza continues with a small inflection of excitement in his voice. Looks like I'll have to go through you first, Kakashi. He vanishes and reappears on the lake. He's standing on water? Sakura tightens her grip on her kunai. Water swirls up at his feet. He holds one hand in a sign. Ninpu, Kirigakure no Jutsu. Intense mist becomes so oppressive that Naruto can barely see the tip of his nose. He focuses his sensing power, and is able to tell that the other chakra signature has gotten closer. It is strong and unusual, a kind of chakra that he has never felt before. But more pressing is that Zabuza's chakra has divided. He knows immediately what the butcher is up to and weaves signs for wind chakra. He calls upon a jutsu to dispel the mist. Anything more could throw Kakashi off. Futon Taifwika, wind release, passing typhoon. From his mouth, wind spread widely but thinly, enough to whip the mist out of his and the team's vision. Kakashi also focuses his chakra and dispels some of the mist around him on his own. This uncomfortable sensation, Naruto can feel the killing intent pouring off of Zabuza. Psychological warfare can seriously impact a shinobi ability in battle, and it is because Naruto understands this that he is able to focus and throw off the foul feeling without much effort. His grandfather had educated him on things such as this, and his pride would not allow him to fall from fear. Sasuke and Sakura don't seem to know what's happening to them, however, and are clearly struggling to breath. Don't worry. I'll protect you with my life. Kakashi's voice is heard through the clear air. It makes an effect on their minds and they barely manage to throw off the killing intent. We'll see about that. Zabuza's voice seemingly comes from everywhere. Stay behind us, Tazuna-san. Sakura stammers out, gripping her kunai extremely tight. Zabuza appears right next to them. Like that'll help. A projectile of violent wind comes out of Naruto's mouth and blows away what is now revealed as Zabuza's Mizu Bunshin. Another Zabuza appears behind Naruto, and it is Kakashi who intercepts by stabbing him in the stomach. Water pours from the wound and this Zabuza falls into a puddle. The real Zabuza appears and splits Kakashi across his waist. Sensei! Sakura screams helplessly. Kakashi dissolves into water as well, and the real Zabuza is suddenly held at kunai point by real Kakashi. You copied my Mizu Bunshin, Zabuza growls. And used my own mist to hide it. I wouldn't move if I were you. Kakashi suggests rather boredly for someone who was in a battle with another shinobi of similar reputation. Zabuza replies calmly for someone in the same situation. Shame. I thought you were better than this. Before he dissolves into water. What? The swordsman rushes out of the bushes at high speed and kicks Kakashi with enough force that he is sent flying through the air and into the lake. Zabuza reappears above Kakashi. Suetun, Sura no Jutsu, take the client and run. Kakashi shouts before he is captured in an orb of water. The dense water made it impossible to move. You are some burden, old man. Naruto realizes that escape wouldn't be possible unless they left Tazuna behind. Tazuna is too frightened to reply. A new Mizu Bunshin sprouts out of the water and charges the squad. Zabuza's skill was Suetun so great that he could maintain both the Suru and Mizu Bunshin at once. It kicks Sasuke away from the client before Naruto manages to send off his jutsu. Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu. The fireball from Naruto's mouth collides with Zabuza's clone. He holds the jutsu in a flamethrower variant to ensure that the clone wouldn't survive. The fresh steam and disappearance of chakra tells Naruto that he killed the clone. Another Mizu Bunshin appears and goes after Sasuke. Naruto stays at the side of the client and waits for an opening to kill the clone without injuring Sasuke. This Zabuza seems slower than the rest to the point that Sasuke can counterattack. He uses all the speed and predictive ability his Sharingan can manage, and uses the same combination that he attempted on Naruto during their spars. The Hozenka no Jutsu crashes into the clone and after trying to reconstitute itself, fall into a puddle. I've got you all figured out, kiddies. Another Mizubunshin forms at the edge of the lake and walks onto the shore, ready to attack again. Naruto's assessment of the skirmish allows him to form a plan. The clone was slower than all the previous ones Zabuza had used, meaning that his stamina and control were getting weaker. He's not attempting anything besides Mizubunshin, meaning that he can't rely on a stronger jutsu while he is maintaining Kakashi's prison. If Naruto wanted to get away from this fight with a successful mission, and without revealing his hidden power, he'd need to free Kakashi. Calm down. Naruto takes control of the team. Mizubunshin take chakra to create, even when there's a water source. Every time he creates one, he's weakening himself and Kakashi stands a better chance at beating him. He only says it to give Sasuke some good morale. Sakura wouldn't be effective in the remainder of the fight. That'd be smart thinking, kid, if you hadn't revealed your hand already. You got nothing left to kill me. Zabuza mocks. He thinks that we're going to do the same thing again. He's not expecting raw power. Get ready, Sasuke. Naruto orders with narrowed eyes. He whispers his next order. Follow me up with something to get at Zabuza's hand. Sasuke nods, hand hidden from Zabuza's view behind most of his body. Your clone should have hidden in the water if you didn't want to lose that power. Naruto begins to weave hand signs while taking a deep breath. Katan, Goryoka no Jutsu, an eruption of flame from Naruto's mouth constitutes itself into a massive dragon head. Clone Zabuza's eyes widen as the fast-moving jutsu blasts through the air and immediately eviscerates him. The jutsu continues to fly and is pointed directly at the real Zabuza. What the dash? Zabuza moved behind the water prison, needing to maintain it instead of letting go so that Kakashi couldn't escape. If he sank into the water, the chakra pulsing through his body to maintain the water prison might skitter across his body and make an orb size that he couldn't maintain. The best thing he could do was take cover. His jutsu wouldn't break so long as he maintained control. The Goryoka smashes into Kakashi's cage and water funnels upward to replace and strengthen the jutsu. The water orb is broken enough that Kakashi can just get a quick breath of air before the high-level Suiton reconstitutes and barely manages to disperse the flames. The jutsu protects Kakashi, although he definitely felt some hairs singe. Zabuza too is mostly unharmed. Some brat, you got Kakashi. Zabuza snarls at him through the steam. That jutsu would have obliterated anyone else's Suiton. Kakashi is thinking a bit more clearly. The air he'd gotten was not going to waste. If it weren't for the fact that we're fighting on a lake, we'd both be toast. Naruto, you're really something else. Kakashi catches a glimpse of a tiny shadow with the refined vision of his Sharingan. He nearly smiles, and trusts Sasuke to take advantage too. Looks like silent killing works both ways, Zabuza. A shuriken passes the water prison, and is pinged off of the one hiding in its shadow. The shuriken's trajectory is clearly calculated and rips the flesh on Zabuza's arm. Arg! Zabuza wrenches his hand free from the water. Kakashi falls into the water once the prison breaks down. Zabuza sees that his advantage is lost, so makes his final move. He draws his Kubikuribocho and makes a last-ditch rush to assassinate Tazuna. Hold your ground, Naruto orders. Zabuza is closing in and Naruto weaves the signs for a concussive futon jutsu just in case, but it's already clear. He knows that this fight has turned in their favor. Kakashi explodes out of the earth before Zabuza can land the killing blow. He kicks Zabuza's hand enough to throw his arm and the blade backwards and follows up with another kick that had enough force to put Zabuza back on the water. He gets back on the water despite the field advantage that Zabuza has. Clearly, he has predicted the outcome of the fight. He starts weaving the same signs as Zabuza, at the exact same speed. Are you reading my mind? Kakashi finishes, and catches Zabuza off guard by changing the hand signs he was using to a different jutsu. He uses what stamina and chakra he could throw into it. Suiton, Daibakufu no Jutsu. It was as if the entire lake turned against Zabuza. The water forms a whirlpool in the air in front of Kakashi and grows in size and speed, and the maelstrom is too massive and fast for Zabuza to flee. He is pummeled by concussive barrages of water and nearly drowns against a tree. The eruption of water chakra uproots much of the foliage and leaves the genin in genuine amazement at Kakashi's skill. Zabuza coughs and sputters and has no counter to Kakashi when the Konoha Jounin is pointing a kunai to his neck. Can you see the future? Zabuza vomits up some more water. Yes. And your future is death. Two Senbon to the neck do the deed before Kakashi can finish him off. What? A hunter nin? So now you decide to act? Naruto thought, though the outcome of the hidden ninja killing the missing nin was not entirely what he expected. I thank you for your assistance, Hatake Kakashi-san. The voice is surprisingly young. Now that he is closer, Naruto can tell that his chakra is more powerful than expected. I'll be recovering Zabuza-san now. Kakashi doesn't move away and instead checks for Zabuza's pulse. Dead. He confirms and makes a weary retreat to his team on land. The hunter takes Zabuza's corpse and vanishes in a Shunshin no Jutsu. Kakashi breathes an obvious sigh of exhaustion and relief. Alright team, I think we need to have some rest. Kakashi falls face first. Naruto runs to collect Kakashi and puts him safely on the shore of the lake. We were not far now. Tazuna's voice is shaky. I've got somewhere we can put him so he can recover. I've never been so scared in my life. These kids, they really are shinobi. They make it to Tazuna's home as quickly as they can. Naruto is tall enough that he can at least keep the barely conscious Kakashi up by slinging Jounin's arm over his shoulders. Kakashi can only manage small steps in his exhaustion but probably wouldn't be making them at all without Naruto propping him up. Seems like the Sharingan takes quite the toll on your body. Passing several dilapidated buildings on their way to Tazuna's home, the team spots people giving them weary glances. As Tazuna said, the people are visibly hard-pressed for money judging by the condition of their clothes and closed shops and warehouses. Naruto tries to focus on potential ambushes instead but can't help his mind wandering to the fight. Naruto is impressed at the objectability that Zabuza has for fighting on and in water. This is definitely something that he can learn from and use in the future, but the fight also made him frustrated. He knew that he couldn't join in without revealing his Sharingan, something that he was saving for a special occasion. It made him consider just showing his teams so that he could fight unabated. Unfortunately, the existence of several factors in Konoha's power hierarchy made it unlikely that Team 7 wouldn't be able to keep that ability secret between them. Mission reports would change drastically based on newly revealed abilities and may be made obvious that Kakashi would be trying to keep something under wraps. Naruto couldn't trust that he wouldn't become the center of attention instead of Sasuke and have his eyes stolen by the faction responsible for cleaning up the Uchiha incident before anyone else knew that he had it. If he revealed the Sharingan and further Uchiha power publicly, it creates such a fuss that it would be impossible to ignore that he is an Uchiha. He would be placed under public scrutiny, but that meant friendly eyes on him and making a move on him for his Sharingan would be political suicide. A mission with only a handful of people didn't warrant using his full power, regardless of the strength of Zabuza. While he'd been thinking, they approached Tazuna's place on a riverside. It was homely, all things considered. Tazuna at least seems to take care of his family. Tsunami! I'm home! Tazuna announces before getting to the door. Footsteps can be heard pitter-pattering on the wooden floor before the door is opened wide. "Tu-san." Tsunami lunges into his arms. "It's good to see you." Tazuna returns the hug. "Where's my grandson?" "Out on the pier, like usual." Tsunami's smile falters. Tazuna grumbles a bit before stepping aside and giving room for the shinobi to step in. "Follow me. We have an empty room out back where you can put your sensei down." Oh my! Tsunami looks at the shinobi with thinly disguised interest. She seems concerned that Naruto is carrying the only adult among them. Naruto sets Kakashi down on a makeshift bed that Tsunami quickly laid out for him. He sits down next to the indisposed Jounin, who quickly faded into unconsciousness. "That sucked," is all he can say. "What do we do now?" Sakura wrings her hands nervously after sitting down. "We need to make sure Kakashi recovers. This mission is going to be a whole lot harder without him," Sasuke points out reasonably. "He's taking it pretty well, all things considered. I thought he'd be out long before we got here." Naruto nods in agreement. "But we still have time. It will take a while to replace Zabuza, so we have some time to move freely through Nami. Sakura, check Kakashi's pouch for soldier pills. If he has any, then they'll have been made by his wife. She's a skilled medical kunoichi. I'm going to set up traps around the house." Sasuke delegates that job to himself and exits the house swiftly. "Don't go anywhere without me, Tazuna." Naruto orders the bridge builder. "I know that you want to rest and catch up with your workers, but the situation has changed." "Alright. Gotcha." Tazuna is weirded out by the serious demeanor on the young man. Kakashi continues to fade in and out of sleep. Sakura was looking at Naruto while he addressed Tazuna and didn't see their sensei quickly pulled down his mask and flicked the soldier pills out of her fingertip grip on them. "Eh?" Sakura completely missed the movement. Thanks, Sakura." Kakashi smiles before falling back again. "You're not making this easy for us, Kakashi." Naruto rolls his eyes. It takes Sasuke an hour to set up traps in the trees, in the water, and under the jetty of Tazuna's home. They'd been made deliberately with enough wiggle room that only normal civilian exit and entry was possible. Anyone trying to sneak in by jumping on the roof or coming through the water would be in for some nasty surprises. He is soaked when he returns, but Tsunami praises his efforts and gives him several towels to dry himself off before coming inside. Having got a better view of the woman while she was fretting over him, Sasuke almost looks like he'd seen a ghost. "Reminder of the lost?" Naruto asks, quietly enough that Sakura couldn't hear. "She looks like my mother," Sasuke reveals just as quietly. He is relatively somber, but it's easy to see it as just being grumpy for being in the water. It slowly fades and he begins to look thoughtful instead. Naruto sees Kakashi stir back into consciousness. He looks much more aware than he did when they arrived. "You're okay." Sakura looks nearly ready to cry. Kakashi smiles, wincing a bit when he sits up. "How long have I been out?" "A few hours at most." "Looks like your soldier pills work the charm." Naruto answers offhandedly, relaxing a bit now that their leader is lucid enough to talk. That's shizen for you." Kakashi props himself up against the thin wall. "I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I think we have bad news." The genin really didn't want that to be the first thing Kakashi said to them. "I think Zabuza may still be alive." With unfortunate timing, Tazuna and Tsunami walk into the room as he said it. "What the hell?" You saw what that kid did. He killed that crazy ninja with Saban. Not a tool often used for murder, even discreetly. Kakashi goes on to explain his reasoning for why he thinks that the masked nin is actually an accomplice instead of an official of Kiri. It just gets worse. Tazuna bemoans. I understand that you may be scared, Tazuna-san, but remain calm. These two elites have shown their hand a bit in that fight. I have a pretty good assessment of the set of skills that Zabuza uses. The real issue is the accomplice. Naruto makes his own assessment known. I believe that the Hunter Nin is a Keki Igenkai wielder. He has an unusual chakra that I have never felt before, but I believe that it is Hayatan. Care to explain? Kakashi fishes for more info. I've been refining my sensory abilities to be able to distinguish chakra natures. The chakra nature of this hunter resonates strongly with wind and water, and is unusually strong on top of that. But you don't know for sure? Naruto shakes his head slightly. No, I'm not that good at it yet. But I still think they wield some kind of Keki Igenkai. It's better than nothing. Good work. You three have your work cut out for you, so I expect that you'll take what I have to teach you very seriously. We're going to train? Sasuke finds the suggestion of training in the middle of a mission a tad unusual. You don't have any choice, Kakashi states bluntly. If you want a chance of survival, then you'll have to learn. And it just so happens that I have the perfect chakra control exercise for you, Kakashi. Naruto starts before Sakura can start an inquiry of what they're learning. How could Zabuza push you this far? I know your reputation. I thought something like this would be easier for you. His reputation is about the same as mine. Kakashi shrugs. And it's well earned. They don't call him demon for nothing. He has very, very potent chakra, as evident by his skill at using multiple Suiton jutsu at the same time. And normally, the Sharingan can see right through jutsu on the level of Mizu Bunshin. It is obvious that they are clones to people who wield dojutsu, but Zabuza's chakra is incredibly powerful, and every clone he creates looks like the real deal to me. It takes very dense chakra that even I can't see the difference with my Sharingan, and had to rely on my own clone tactics to identify the real one. Is he stronger than you, Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asks nervously. I don't know. Kakashi answers honestly. But what he won't have this time is the advantage of a water source. This puts my odds of beating him significantly higher than before. It's the accomplice that we should be more worried about. Zabuza will likely come after me again, so you three will be the ones fighting the hunter. So I'll say it again, I expect you to take what I have to say seriously. It's a matter of life and death. The mood is quite grim, but we'll start tomorrow. I don't have it in me to move right now. Tazuna and Tsunami look quite clearly out of their depth. These were children, talking about risking their lives. Sasuke clearly has something on his mind still. Naruto. Sasuke addresses him. Naruto looks at him blankly. Why are you so strong? He is silent for a moment, not really sure what kind of half-truth he could give at such a direct question, but manages to conjure something close enough to the truth. He starts weaving a tale in order to compound the importance of his strength. I first learned to kill when I was 9. Naruto starts off with little emotion. Sakura recalls while Kakashi's eye widens. It was made pretty clear to me in the orphanage that the only future that awaited me and my fellow orphans was to become shinobi. I trained like everyone else, but I couldn't afford to grow stronger and make ends meet by feeding myself and paying bills. There was a certain incident that prevented people like me from graduating early at the academy, so I wasn't able to become a genin and do missions to earn money. The Uchiha incident. Kakashi identifies the problem child that caused Konoha to reevaluate graduation procedure. So, I used the bingo book in order to find easy prey like rogue genin or vagrant criminals with bounties on their heads, so that I could continue to fuel my growth. Those outings took me everywhere in Hai no Kuni, and it wasn't always easy to defeat them. I quickly learned that if I couldn't defeat small fry like this as a shinobi, then I was just going to die. I couldn't get stronger without buying shinobi resources like jutsu scrolls and tools, and I couldn't provide basic necessities to myself if I bought those things. I needed easy influxes of cash to get the best of both worlds, and those missions gave me experience at fighting. I became stronger out of necessity. Orphans like me don't really get that much of a choice. But Sakura stammers out, realizing that some people had it really different to her. Why didn't you get adopted? Or sponsored or given a normal job? Anything? I don't know. Naruto lied. He knew perfectly well that the system had been manipulated around him to ensure that he became a shinobi. I'm just one of the unlucky ones that there wasn't any room for in normal civilian life. There were already plenty of orphans from the Kyuubi incident 12 years ago, and most people had enough mouths to feed as it is. I just fell through the cracks and was lucky enough to gain enough strength to be a shinobi and not a criminal. I grew up around other orphans who were in the same boat as me, learned to be a shinobi or die. I choose to live, and it's not all bad. Naruto attempts to move the conversation away from his past. At no point did I ever not have a roof over my head to come home to. The people in this country don't appear to have the same luxury right now. There is a moment of silence before Naruto decides to open his mouth. I expected some restraint from you, Kakashi. Oh, Kawaii-jin and mine, what have I done to deserve your ire this time? Shizen has been spoiling you. You've gotten too heavy to just lug around, Your dad bod is holding back the team. Tsunami looks mystified at the sudden way the genin is talking to his sensei. I'll be sure to let Shizen know of your displeasure. Kakashi eye smiles, making it quite clear that Shizen would rip his ear off for suggesting that she wasn't taking care of her husband. No need for that, Naruto deflects coolly. I just want you to consider what's in the best interests of the team. Kakashi scoffs, but sees that their poking fun at each other has lightened the room's mood. The next day consists of Kakashi training Sasuke and Sakura to perform the tree climbing exercise. Naruto makes it known that he can already perform it, and is instead delegated to bodyguarding Tazuna full-time. Sasuke has enough jutsu under his belt to make use of the chakra control exercise and instead merely struggles to perform it until mastering it by evening. Sakura is put through her paces after making it obvious that the exercise is too easy for her, and is instead taught a diversionary genjutsu by Kakashi, topping it off with some light taijutsu pointers to make sure she's up to scratch. The team doesn't see hide nor hair of Tazuna's grandson throughout their stay at his home, but Tazuna just chalks it up to the boy being depressed. He makes it evident that he and Tsunami are seeing him, and Naruto has spotted him to make sure that he hadn't been kidnapped, and the Inari hanging around the house was the real one. Naruto points out that Tazuna, despite being dedicated to the nation and having the drive to defy a millionaire criminal like Gato, is an emotional man that can be manipulated by his family. He suggests that Tsunami and Inari should be hidden, and one of them should take their place in disguise in case Gato sends men after them. Naruto is the only one capable of using Kage Bunshin that could also use Henge, and they could hardly leave Kakashi behind when Zabuza was still on the prowl, so naturally Naruto would remain in Tazuna's home. They make this plan discreetly, and without Tazuna's knowledge. Tazuna's reaction would be genuine if Naruto disguised as his family were brought to the bridge, which would therein make the kidnappers cocky. Unless Naruto killed them before reaching the bridge if they went too far, of course. Kakashi had recovered quickly. It made Naruto suspect that Kakashi had held back in the fight in order to gauge what his team would do. He picked a hell of time to do it if his suspicion was true. Nothing happens for a full week before drama starts to unfold on the bridge. Tazuna and Team 7 sans Naruto left early. After leaving, Naruto enacts the plan of having a Kage Bunshin escort the family to the section of housing they arrived in when arriving in Nami initially. The real Naruto and another Kage Bunshin remained and wait at Tazuna's home, transformed to look like Tsunami and Inari. The oppressive mist rolls in. The genin duo tighten their guard around Tazuna. The workers evacuate by climbing down long rope ladders and jumping into boats that head back to shore. Knowing that they are at a disadvantage if Tazuna goes with them in the water, he and Team 7 remain on the bridge. Looks like you're one genin down, Kakashi. Zabuza's malicious grin is visible through his bandages. I wouldn't be so concerned about him if I were you. You and your accomplice have enough to worry about as it is. Ha! Zabuza throws on a blustering laugh. Haku isn't some small fry genin like your little team. He may even be stronger than I am. Then I'll be sure to end you quickly before that strength can be put to use. Kakashi's voice is no-nonsense and confident, like he has nothing at all to fear. Zabuza looks caught off by the demeanor. He looks into the Sharingan of his current opponent, and wonders if the man is greater than the legend. Haku. Get rid of the genin. Hi, Zabuza-sama. Sasuke has locked Haku into a stalemate. The hunter has revealed the secret of being an ice release wielder, just as Naruto speculated. Sasuke's Sharingan is strong enough now to be able to predict the flight path of Haku's jutsu, and is always able to dodge at the last second. Unfortunately, Shuriken Jutsu nor Katan had any effect on the ice ninjutsu, and that became painfully evident when the masked hunter unleashes a secret technique. Makio Hyosho, mirrors of ice surround Sasuke entirely, and cut him off from the outside. He is now singularly dependent on his ability to intercept Haku whenever he attempts to attack. Taijutsu seems to be the only viable option. Haku can't land any blows, but neither can Sasuke, and unfortunately Sasuke can feel his stamina and speed dropping slowly. He employs some rudimentary chakra control to increase speed in his legs to try and finish things off before he got too tired, but Haku has become wise to his strategy and is attacking cautiously rather than expediently. If this goes on, I won't survive much longer. Desperation begins to claw at Sasuke's mind, and unnoticed to him, his Sharingan gains an extra tomo to cope with the life or death stress. He can't predict Haku's attacks without it, but it's draining his chakra even more now.